I was about to say something clever, but I really don't have anything clever to say. I was thinking of a uh, old R&B song, but I think it starts Friday night, not Saturday night. But it's Saturday night. Um, and what's special about tonight? Today, rather. You guessed it. It is Batman Day. Batman Day, guys. Um, it differs every year. I liked it when it fell on my birthday. Um, the first time I went to a Comic Con back in, I believe that was 2014, but it could have been 2015. Um, whichever one it fell on, I think one was on the 25th and the other one was exactly on the 26th. That might have been 2015. Either way, it was a great day at the Comic Con. I had money, I had birthday money. I had my favorite T-shirt, which is this. Not this exact one. I have other ones. I think it's the one I left in the Philippines, or it's the one I gave my ex-girlfriend before I met my wife, who was also Filipina, by the way. Um, but in any case, it was the same design, all black with the yellow emblem, reminiscent of the Batman 1989 logo. And it was also Baltimore Comic Con, or the Comic Convention, always falls in the fall, like right after most of the major ones, like the one in San Diego, which is the biggest one. Although I think the New York Comic Con, which is now the rival to it, has actually become bigger than the San Diego one. Even though the one in New York Comic Con might actually have a larger crowd than San Diego. San Diego is still considered the first one, the main one. Um, so this is going to be a lighthearted discussion. People usually know, like on Saturdays, I really don't like to. Saturdays, I really don't try to do a heavy anything really heavy on a Saturday evening, like a heavy discussion. I try to keep it lighthearted on Saturday. So it's Batman Day. So that's the topic of the discussion. Particularly, what is your favorite thing about Batman? So that's the topic. Um, if you don't like Batman, well, that's cool too. You can tell me if you don't like Batman and why. What's up, J.A.C? Um, but yeah, so this is my favorite T-shirt, or one of my favorite ones. I have multiples of these again. So these are my favorite T-shirts, I should say. So I usually always wear it on a good occasion, like when I'm traveling abroad. Um, it's Batman Day, of course, obviously, and on my birthday, which will be in 5 days. So I also did a nice run today, a little Batman run for only did 12 kilometers, but I was gonna do like 15 or 16, but I thought my friend was coming earlier so we could dip out. We didn't go to Comic Con. We actually went to Third Eye Comics, and I'm glad I did because I didn't know they were giving away some freebies. I'm gonna show you those in a minute. Once the if and when the amount of people in the chat room picks up, then I'm gonna show the stuff that I copped from the Third Eye Comics today. GJC says Christian Bale's the best Batman. Mm, maybe for me, it's Michael Keaton as Batman. Probably because when it came out, I was 11, so I was more so as a kid that that was the coolest thing to me. Was the Michael Keaton Batman. I remember all the advertisements got us so hyped, like all the trailers that came out that summer when Batman came out. And I remember it was they gave so much content from the movie and the trailers. I'm like, God, are they giving away the whole thing? Leon Bernhardt says Batman is for children, not grown ass black men. Well, grown ass black men also like fucking your mother in the ass, Leon. So who cares what you think? Anyway, Agatha says, "Hello, good night. How are you? I was just watching one of your videos, then I came right over. Was looking forward to your live. Thanks, Agatha." Leon says, "Grow up, nigga. I am grown up. I can beat your ass any given day of the week. Don't get it twisted just because I'm a nerd. Um, I can still fuck you up. I'm more fit than you are at my advanced age. You're just a fucking Gen Z retard, faggot, fuck, low T, low IQ piece of shit bitch that can't fuck with me on any given fucking day. And I'm in Baltimore, so you can't fucking touch me. And if you ever tried to, I would run a fucking goon squad on your bitch ass. So shut the fuck up. Anyway, what's up, guys? So Leon's about to go timeout. And in any case, um, J.A.C says Arnold and Mr. Freeze, Jim Carrey as Riddler, DeVito and Penguin, such a good casting. No, I didn't like Arnold as Mr. Freeze. It just didn't fit. It was very campy. That was the worst. That was the worst of the Batman movies. Most of us try to pretend that shit didn't happen. It literally, that Joel Schumacher movie literally killed the franchise, Batman and Robin. Robin was a 30-year-old guy. Like, how you adopting a grown ass man? Like that was just weird. Like Batman and Robin was horrible. Joel Schumacher made horrible Batman movies, and it again the Joel Schumacher movies killed the franchise, which is why it took almost 20 years to bring back the franchise from how he ruined it back in '97. Adam West, I definitely he was my first live action Batman that I saw, but he's definitely not the best. For me, it's Michael Keaton, then it's Christian Bale, then it's Ben Affleck. But each of them have things they did better than the others. I think I liked um, Christian Bale persona as Bruce Wayne. He was the most um, I think portrayed Bruce Wayne the best. Um, Ben Affleck played a comic book accurate Batman the best, whereas Michael Keaton is just the most charismatic version of them. But I think Christian Bale played the best version of his persona as Bruce Wayne, whereas Ben Affleck played the most comic book accurate depiction of Batman in costume. Whereas, like I said, Michael Keaton played the the best, I think, charismatic version of Batman because it comes out as Tim Burton universe. Um, Val Kilmer, which people forget in '95, I think I think his he was better. His portrayal was better as Bruce Wayne than when he was Batman in the suit. And George Clooney, I'm actually going to defend George Clooney. He wasn't a bad Batman. It was just a bad movie. He was a good Batman in a bad movie, and he had a horrible suit. It had nipples and butt cheeks on it. Like that was horrible. He was doing campy stuff like carrying around a Batman credit card. Like if you have a secret persona, why would you have a Batman credit card? That was just campy. And again, Robin was like 30 years old. Um, Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger playing Mr. Freeze was just corny. It was just really corny, and he got paid an exorbitant amount of money to play Mr. Freeze because he said the transition into becoming Mr. Freeze through all the makeup and all the other practical effects was really painful. So they had to pay him um, an exorbitant amount of money to play that part. Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy was just goofy, and she wasn't pretty as Poison Ivy. Poison Ivy is supposed to look beautiful. Nothing against Uma Thurman, but that was not the role for her. Um, Danny DeVito played the hell out of Penguin though in Batman Returns. Again, that was Tim Burton, not Joel Schumacher. But George Clooney is not last on my list. Robert Pattinson. So let me get over GJC's comments. Uh, he said George Clooney's last on your list. No, Robert Pattinson's the last on my list. He was a horrible Batman. He felt more like Dick Grayson than Bruce Wayne. He was too fucking skinny. He had no. There was nothing ninja like about the way he traipsed on, like just walking up to people, knocking on their doors, sitting there doing good cop, bad cop with Commissioner Gordon. His outfit looked more looked more goth than combat suit. It and when he was Bruce Wayne, he was like antisocial. Like the whole point of Bruce Wayne is that is his persona. Bruce Wayne is the actual person. When Bruce Wayne's parents died, Batman was born. His continuance of his identity as Bruce Wayne has actually become his persona that he uses in public, but his true personality is Batman. And for him to be like socially awkward and oppositional to people in his role as Bruce Wayne didn't make sense in the context of the Batman mythos. So I think Robert Pattinson was the worst Batman, and he was too fucking skinny. He just it didn't work. He was the worst one, which is why I I doubt I'll go see the sequel. I'll watch it, but I'm gonna wait till it comes on digital and watch it for free. I'm not paying to go to the movies to see another Matt Reeves version of the Batman. GJC says Michael Keaton will always be Beetlejuice to me. No, yeah, I mean, but he was both. For some people, he might be to them Mr. Mom, or he played Mr. Mom. He played Jack Frost. Um, he played that funny movie Multiplicity. He played the Vulture in Spider Man. He's played a lot of stuff. Michael Keaton is an awesome actor. Funny thing is, actually started out as a stand up comedian, which is why all his first roles were comedic roles. That's why a lot of people didn't think he was going to be good as the Batman when it came out in 1989. It was like, this guy, he's not Batman, but he played the hell out of the role. Um, same thing with the Joker in Dark Knight. A lot of people didn't think what's his name could play the Joker because all his roles before then were like comedic roles. So everyone was like, man, he's not gonna be able to play the Joker. And then Dark Knight comes out, and now everyone thinks this is the best version of the Joker there ever was. Better than Jack Nicholson, better than the guy in the 1966 campy TV show, Cesar Romero. Um, Definitely better than what's his name in Suicide Squad and the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. That Jared Leto, he sucked. At first, I tried to defend Jared Leto, but all his parts are everything he plays is bad. Plus, he's a method actor. I think method actors are people who can't really act because if you have to pretend to be that person 24/7, you don't know how to act. Acting is pretending to be something that you are not and making it convincing. Method actors tr- try to live the role outside of actually outside of when they're filming. To me, that means you really can't act if you have to live that persona 24/7 to get it done on camera. I just think Jared Leto is not a great actor. Besides, he was doing weird shit that I mean, sending people on his um, that he was acting with things like used condoms, like with semen and shit in it. Like That's crazy. He said Keaton was great in Spotlight too. I've never seen that. I like him as Johnny Dangerously. That's one of my favorite roles from him back in the '80s as well. People might have forgot that when he played Johnny Dangerously. But in any case, guys, curious what's your favorite thing about Batman? I'll tell you what mine is, and I'll probably have to repeat this later on, depending on how long this stream goes. My favorite thing about Batman is that he 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 represents the best. Uh, he represents what the best of human potential, like what human how far someone can get through their human potential. Like he's the best at what he does. Like he's like the world's greatest detective. He's the smartest person in the world next to Lex Luthor, who was a supervillain. um, he's the he's the best martial artist in the world. He's the best strategist in the world. Um, he's like the best tactician in the world. He's second best at what do you call weapons that you shoot, like projectile. He's the best at projectile weapons, just under Green Arrow, who's the best in the world. But under Green Arrow, he's the next best. He's like a master ventriloquist. He's a master escape artist. Like he's the second best in the world, other than the guy who's who's that's literally his thing. That's his superpower, which is Mister. Uh, can't remember that superhero's name, Mister Something, but he's one of the best escape artists in the world. He's one of the best gymnasts in the world. The only person that probably outdoes him as far as acrobatics is Dick Grayson. Dick Grayson is the best acrobatic in the world, the best acrobat in the world. But Batman comes close to that. Of course, I mean he's an Olympian level power lifter. Like he uh, he bench presses 1,000 pounds, and I forgot how much he squats. I think like 2,500, something like that. His run, he can run like what 10 miles in what about I want to say like 30, 40 something minutes. Like it's ridiculous. In case you guys think I'm actually making up all these stats, I'm not. You can buy the book called The Batman Files, and it gives you all this information. Or there's also the Essential Encyclopedia, and there's another one called the Batman Vault. These are all like Batman encyclopedias. My favorite one is called the Essential Batman Encyclopedia. It goes up to everything up to like the beginning of like stuff from around, I'm gonna say up until about 2011. If you want stuff after 2011, you want the Batman Files and the Batman Vault. The Batman Files is a little bit different. It's not like a regular encyclopedia. So it's sort of like a dossier of Batman, right? It's really cool. But it gives you like an entire dossier of everything Batman. Then there's the Batman Vault, which is sort of like in between like the Essential Batman Encyclopedia and the Batman Vault. And then there's one from like the late 70s, early 80s, which is called DC Comics Encyclopedia Volume 1 Batman. It was three of them. I think it only went up to three volumes, which was the first volume was Batman. I think the second one was Superman. The third one was Wonder Woman. So it was only three volumes of that. And that came out in like the late 70s, early 80s. Or you can just get the DC Comics Encyclopedia, which gives you information on every character in DC Comics, and it gets updated every couple of years. I have all of those, obviously. Then I also have another mini Batman Encyclopedia. I forgot what that one is called. So altogether, I have about about five of them. And like I said, so my favorite thing about Batman is that he represents a person um, coming to the 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 uh, the top of human potential. So that's my favorite thing about him. J.A.C says, I love that he doesn't have to deal with red tape when the city wants to arrest a bad guy but can't because of lawyers and legalities they call Batman. Yeah, because he's a vigilante. Like he said in the book The Dark Knight Returns, he said, at the end of the day, he said, he's like, I'm a criminal. He said, we've always been criminals. He's referring to like the superheroes, particularly himself and the people who help him. He said, essentially, we're criminals and we always have been. Because they have to flaunt the law in order to apprehend law breakers. So in real life, that doesn't work because we've seen people, or if you haven't watched the Nat Geo channel, or you can look it up on here on YouTube, there have been guys who've actually attempted to try to be heroes or vigilantes, and they've gotten in trouble with the law in trying to do so. Um, no surprise, taking the law in your own hand doesn't really work outside of making citizens arrests, and that is a very qualified thing that you can do within certain restraints is making citizens arrests. Outside of that, you're being a vigilante and you will get in trouble. Liam says, and of course we flout the law. I don't. Like I said, what works great in comic books and in sci-fi doesn't really translate to the real world. Yeah, I know I have some white hairs. I'm 46. People who don't have gray hair at this age are dyeing it. Because sometimes I dye my hair. I don't care what I look like. Can you run 12 kilometers wet back? I didn't think so. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. Get the fuck off my channel. Fucking hick. And I am 46. Why would I make that up, you dumb bitch? Get the fuck off my channel, Muhammad. Go suck Allah's dick. Schmuck. It is. It is. It is. Thank you. Think for a second. Why are they commenting on my age? I'm talking about Batman. Just trying to have a lighthearted conversation because it's Batman Day. They comment on what my age is like. That's like hella fucking gay. They can take that Diddy shit somewhere else. That's why I just kicked both of them off my channel. Like you worrying about what I look like. At the end of the day, I could kick both their asses at the same time. What's good? Not much. I'm chilling. I went to the comic book store earlier, so it's about 10 guys in the chat. So, folks, let me show you some of the stuff I got. So, if you haven't got it, if you haven't gone to a comic book store, go tomorrow. They should probably still have this stuff for free. I want to reiterate, it's for free, guys. And if you can't, if there's no comic book store close to you, here's a great tip. I've said this on Free Comic Book Day. So every year, comic book stores have Free Comic Book Day where a bunch of different publishers release a whole bunch of stuff for free to give out to get people enticed into checking out their stuff. So again, Third Eye Comics. Okay, shout out to them, giving them free promotion here. This is their logo. Um, And so I wasn't expecting free comics on Batman Day. I expected on Free Comic Book Day, but it's free comics. So if you didn't go today, they'll probably have hella leftovers tomorrow. And if you can't find a comic book store in your area, go to the library. The library will have these things as well. When it's Free Comic Book Day, the libraries will also be have this stuff as well. So here's one: Batman: The Long Halloween. Both the Dark Knight and parts of I think the Batman by Matt Reeves has some elements of the Long Halloween. It's when um, Batman, um, Jim Gordon, and Harvey Dent get together so they can apprehend folks. Okay, this is a really good one, and I already have the entire trade paperback, but they decided to give out the first part of the story for free, guys. So yeah, that a lot of people don't know about that about the library thing. First X second, he said I didn't know that about the library. Yeah, they give so on Free Comic Book Day, they they also get all those free comics as well, not just the comic book stores. Obviously, it's better to go to the comic book store because then you can buy other stuff while you're there too. Whereas the library doesn't have a bunch of stuff for you to buy. Oh, thank you. Yeah, this is my favorite T-shirt too. He said the Batman shirt is dope as fuck. Uh, yo, free. Yep. This one is free. That's not the best one though. Even though this comes from a really great trade paperback from the '90s called The Long Halloween. This is the first part of it. And I'm sorry that the because of the camera is backwards, but I think you can read it. It says Batman: The Long Halloween, um, Volume One, Special Edition. Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. Jeff Loeb is the writer. Tim Sale is the artist. But that's not the best one. The best is this. There's a new Joker story called The World, and it's explicit content. Not like sexually, but explicit meaning is going to be hella violent. I haven't read any of this stuff yet. I picked up two of them just in case. It's I think it's like the precursor to the new book coming out called Joker Year One. So I think they're gonna give a definitive origin story for the Joker and Joker Year One. But cop this. It's gonna be explicit, guys. Explicit. Like they had a little warning label that said this is just for adults only. Explicit content. Joker the world. Cop this, guys. And there's one other one they gave away. So it was just these three. The third one was called Batman Wayne Family Adventures. This is more of a children friendly comic. Okay. Um, this is original DC stories by Weston. And again, these are all the first issues of each one. So you can jump into the beginning of the story and then it entices you that if you like them, then you'll go off and buy the other print issues that come out in the following months. Usually I don't buy, so this is just a personal thing, but usually I don't buy each issue to come out every month. What I do is I might buy the first issue of something, and then if I like it, I'll wait until the next year to buy the entire collection as a trade paperback. Another good thing about buying the trade paperbacks is that the artists and the writers make more money off the trade paperbacks than on the single issue comic books. So that's another good thing. You're both supporting the artist and you're getting the entire story in one book. So that's a plus. But let me get back to some of the comments that I may have missed, guys. First of all, let me switch the filter to all so I can make sure I catch everything. And let me go back up. Liam says, "Now, my friend, I'm agreeable. Superheroes flout the law." Oh no, yeah, I completely. We're in agreement. We're in agreement. Superheroes flout the law completely. Think as first second says, "I'm almost 47, and folks think I'm 38 with a salt and pepper beard. The subject is dope. Huge fan of The Dark Knight." Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I will be 47 in 5 days. So we're about the same age. And it's like usually I get people say I look much younger than my age, other than you know the gray hair. But when I dye this, most people wouldn't even think I'm in my 40s. Plus, like I said, I like to stay fit because I'm a martial artist and a runner. Antichrist. First of all, what's up, Antichrist? we are you know where we are with that name. But anyway, he says, "I like your Batman shirt. I'm Batman, Angel of Justice. LOL." You talking about Azrael? You like the Azrael Batman? If you don't know who Azrael, look that up. You might actually like him. But I'm assuming that's who you're talking about. J.A.C is Free Comic Book Day an international thing? I think so. Well, it is it's in Canada. I can't talk about. I don't know about overseas, but they'll definitely have Free Comic Book Day in Canada. It already came this year, though. If that's what you're asking me, it already came this year. It I can't say it's global, but it is international. You'll be able to get it in Canada, definitely. Um, Antichrist says, yeah, justice. Okay. Liam says, so in terms of the movie franchise, what film do you rank best to worst? Okay. So, all right, let me make two distinctions, Liam. So, there's whom I think are the best, and then there's which ones I think are my favorite. What I think are my favorite may not be what I think are the best, if that's a fair distinction to make. Okay. So, as far as the best, I'm going to say the Dark Knight trilogy. The Dark Knight trilogy is the best as far as the writing, um, like the writing. The movie is obviously awesome. The cinematography is great. Like, you know, what's his name? Christopher, whatever the producers. He and his brother both filmed like Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises in a specific camera just to give it a certain look. So the cinematography is on point. The I love Batman Begins because it was the first time we got a movie that showed his like beginnings. Even though they changed it from the storyline from the comics, it still gave a great beginning to him that wasn't seen before on screen. Um, the Dark Knight, which was a really good movie that kind of talked on aspects of the Patriot Act, like a lot of people didn't realize, like a lot of stuff that they were talking about in Dark Knight and the Dark Knight Rises had stuff to do with talking about the Patriot Act and terrorism at the time that we were talking about back in those days in 2008, reeling from the Bush era. So it was really like it was a meta commentary on current events of the time. It was a really good story, and it took elements from The Long Halloween, like I was mentioning before, and Batman Year One, as well as in Dark Knight Rises took elements from The Dark Knight Returns, obviously. Especially this one part when the cop says to the rookie, "Hey son, you in for a treat tonight." That came straight out of the Dark Knight Returns graphic novel from Frank Miller. That's when Frank Miller was an awesome like writer and artist. Now he's just considered a weirdo, but off of that, Frank Miller's Batman Year One and Dark Knight Returns are like must have books for any Batman fan. Batman Year One and Dark Knight Returns. Batman Year One up until Scott Snyder made his own origins with Batman Year Zero back in 2011. Uh, Batman Year One has always been considered like the origins of Batman. Okay. Um, Long Halloween was sort of like the sequel to that, unofficially. There was a Batman Year Two actually written by Todd McFarlane. Yes, the guy who did Spawn and became famous at Marvel for doing like his run of Spider Man and stuff like that. But his Batman Year Two wasn't well received, so it's not really considered very highly, but might be worth a read. In any case, Long Halloween became the unofficial sequel to Batman Year One. So really great. Anyway, I know I went off on a tangent. Sorry. So when it comes to the best, I'm gonna say the Dark Knight trilogy. When it comes to my favorite, it's gonna be Batman 1989. That's my favorite one. Then, so I'm gonna stick to saying the best. So if the best is Dark Knight trilogy, then the next for me would be Batman 1989. Then Batman Returns in 1991, also from Tim Burton. Um, then I'm gonna say, mm, uh, this might surprise you. I'm gonna say Batman Forever, the one where Jim Carrey plays the Riddler, and Tommy Lee Jones plays Harvey Dent. Now, if Tim Burton was supposed to direct the third movie, and they decided to change everything he wanted to do, so he left. And when he left, Michael Keaton decided not to do it either. So they had to get a new person to play Batman and a new director, which became Joel Schumacher. But it wasn't too bad because Val Kilmer was a good Bruce Wayne. Even as Batman, he wasn't that bad. And Jim Carrey at the time was a really dope version of Riddler because we never saw a live version of Riddler other than off the '60s TV show. So it was really good. Tommy Lee Jones actually played a wily version of Harvey Dent and Two Face. Originally, was supposed to be played by Billy D. Williams because if you remember the first movie, the first Tim Burton Batman film, 1989, Harvey Dent was played by Billy D. Williams, so he was supposed to reprise the role in the third movie and become Two Face. And they actually did that in the comic books 4 years ago. They did a comic book run that came after like the Batman Returns films and showed what could have been if they had continued that franchise. They did the same thing with Superman 78. So it was called Batman 89. There's a DC comics you can find from 4 years ago. Then the next year they did Superman 78, and it takes after Superman 2 and shows what would have happened after Superman 2 if they didn't decide to make that horrible third movie with Richard Pryor playing the bad guy. And let's not even talk about Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. The less said about that, the better. Both of those I saw in the movies as a little kid, though. But so, okay, so again, I don't want to get lost track. So the best is like Dark Knight Trilogy, then Batman 1989, then Batman Returns, then Batman Forever. Okay. Then I would actually defend Batman versus Superman, The Dawn of Justice, just because Ben Affleck played such an awesome Batman in that film. Although the story itself was kind of wacky, but Ben Affleck was a good Batman. He was a comic book accurate Batman. The suit, how he moved as Batman, the way he could intimidate people, like that was like legit Batman. Um, then after that, second to last, oh, I'm sorry. I should include Batman 1966 film too. I'm gonna put that. Yeah, I'm gonna put that after Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice. Just not because I rate it lower than it, but sort of like as a notable mention. I'm gonna put that after Batman versus Superman as a notable mention. But second to last would be the Batman, the one that just came out 2 years ago with Matt Reeves. Again, I hated it. Robert, the movie was dope. Everything in the Batman that came out 2 years ago was good, except for Batman himself, played by Robert Pattinson. He was too skinny. He was not ninja like. People try to say he was more grounded than other Batman movies, but no, he wasn't. The most grounded was the Christopher Nolan films, the Dark Knight trilogy. Christopher Nolan in his Batman Nolan verse intentionally showed what Batman would be like in the real world. So to say, oh well, the Batman by Matt Reeves is a more grounded. No, it's not. First of all, anyone who's been in the military or law enforcement, no, you're not just walking through heavy gunfire, no matter what sort of Kevlar or body armor you're wearing. It's just a matter of Newtonian physics. If something hits you with that much force, it's knocking you on your ass. And that's happened in literally every other Batman movie except this one, which is supposed to be more realistic. That he just walks through gunfire like he's Superman. Like it's like no, he's supposed to be Batman, not Superman. He can't just walk through gunfire. And it wasn't. I'm not even talking about hand. I'm not even talking about like handguns. he wasn't getting shot by like little 9 millimeter rounds. He was getting hit by like submachine gunfire and just walking through it. It it looked yeah, it looked cool, but that was completely unrealistic. Not to mention some of the falls that he survived. Broken he should have broken his legs in those several falls that he underwent. That wasn't realistic. Like now he's just falling down like a Tom and Jerry cartoon and just getting right back up. But I guess it was okay because he would just take a shot of adrenaline, he would take like a EpiPen, a super version of an EpiPen and just juice up, and everything was okay. That was just weird. And it's like I said, he was not ninja. Like he just sitting there knocking on people's doors, uh, doing good cop, bad cop with Jim Gordon. Um, one of Batman's skills is that he's a polyglot. A polyglot means someone who can speak several languages fluently. You don't think of the many languages that Bruce Wayne can speak fluently, he would not speak Spanish. How would he get tied up on a how would he get tied up on a simple little uh, double entendre because it's in Spanish? That wouldn't have tied up Batman. Like that he 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 talked like he treated Alfred like shit. And when he was in his role as Bruce Wayne, he wasn't convincing. The whole point of Bruce Wayne playing this playboy, aloof bachelor is to draw people's attention away from the fact that he's a crime fighter. If you if you are as dour as the person who goes around fighting people at night, don't you think people might add two and two together, especially when you're very wealthy and can afford to do those sorts of things? Dark Knight was much more realistic and grounded than the Batman by Matt Reeves. So I'll put that second to last. And at the very last, again, is Batman and Robin. That came out in 1997 by Joel Schumacher. Although I like Batman Forever in 95, the 97 sequel to it, Batman and Robin, was horrible. Arnold Schwarzenegger was horrible as Mr. Freeze. Uma Thurman was horrible as Poison Ivy. And the dude that played Bane, that shit was stupid. Bane is one of the most clever criminal masterminds in the Batman Rogue Gallery. So for him to play this little weird, inarticulate brute didn't make sense to anyone who knew the character of Bane from the comic books. It, it, so that's my best to last as far as Batman films. Sorry, sorry, I went on that long rant. Thing first, SS says, "Oh shit, the Long Halloween, I got it." Oh, okay, good, you got yeah. So if you got Long Halloween, you got to get the sequel to Long Halloween, which is called Dark Victory. I have both of those, and there is a prequel to the Long Halloween actually, and I didn't know that until I both bought Long Halloween and Dark Victory. It's it's a story about like it's a bunch of like mini stories of like um the Halloween tales, but featuring like Batman in them. I forgot what it's called. If I remember it, I'm a I'm gonna mention it. But it's called. Damn, I can't remember what it's called. But it's there's a prequel to Long Halloween that came out before it, or they made of, or they may have written this prequel to Long Halloween after it actually. But it's really good. Um, I I gotta remember what it's called. I'm sorry. But all of those are by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. I love Tim Sale's artwork. He's really underrated his artwork. And Jeff Loeb is a great writer. For people who know DC Comics or Marvel Comics, they know that Jeff Loeb is an amazing comic book writer. Liam says all good, friend. Thanks, Liam. Thing first I says stop playing. You Joker story passes out, like laughing like shit. Yeah, man. So I again I think this is a precursor to the Joker Year One book coming out this year. Yes, it's discover the secret history of pop culture's greatest villain in this hardcover collection. Oh no, it's out now, September. Okay, okay. So this actually might be the first part of Joker Year One. Cop it. You gotta cop that, man. Antichrist says, no, not violence, only justice. I'm Batman. Batman voice. I'm Batman. Thing first, I say the Penguin show is nice. All right, so I'm gonna watch the pilot episode because one of my homeboys was actually asking me that today. He's like, "Yo, did you see the first episode of Penguin?" Yeah, I was like, "Nah." I was like, "I don't want to see it." I was like, "Cause I didn't like the movie." I said, "Well, I liked the movie, but I was like, I didn't. I just wasn't into the Batman character in the movie. So I was like, I don't know if I want to see the spinoff." He was like, "Well, it's supposed to be a tie-in to the second movie," and I'm like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "All right." I said, "Well, I'll check out the pilot then," because Colin Farrell is a great actor. He said it was really uncomfortable putting on that penguin makeup though. But guys, that's not the only thing I got. So let me read these comments and I'm gonna show you the other thing I got, which you might want to get because it's probably gonna be a limited amount. Like it's probably gonna sell out pretty quickly, and then you'll have to probably get it on like Amazon or eBay. But I'm gonna let me read through the comments and I'm gonna show you what it is. Thing for his accent says, laughing my ass off at Antichrist. That line is hella real. Liam says, happy birthday for 5 days. Thank you for the pre-birthday welcome. Liam says, nah, dude, looks my age. I am 32. Yeah, I don't know what those two are on. Literally, like they just like we're just talking like combos. One, so I had to ban one guy as soon as I first started the stream because he was like, "Yo, you too old to be talking about Batman." I'm like, dude, let people have fun. Like I talk about, you guys know I talk about serious topics all the time. We talk politics, we talk science, we talk philosophy. It's a Saturday night. Like we don't have to be like doing calculus right now. Thing for a second says makes sense. Libra gang. Yep. Yep. September 22nd. Um, definitely Libra. Leo says I think there's a fair distinction. The Nolan, yeah. He said, but 1989, Tim Burton is the shit though. Absolutely. Like I bought the DVDs. I had the Dark Knight trilogy on DVD, and I had the Batman 1989 on DVD. I might get the Batman Returns though, because Batman Returns is like a Christmas movie. It's really sort of like a Christmas movie. And the funny thing is, I remember they promoted the shit out of it, McDonald's and all these other places, until they realized that the content in Batman Returns was really not for kids. Like they really sexualized Catwoman. Like I mean, you had Penguin saying he wants to get some pussy or something like that in the movie. I'm like, yo, what? It was off the hook. He even told Batman like they were looking at her, and he was like, I saw her first. So that was not for kids, and I think McDonald's was kind of mad when the movie came out and they realized how adult the content was. I remember when I was 17 when Batman Forever came out, with the Jim Carrey's the Riddler. My father was like, he's like, oh well, you might not enjoy this. This one is more for adults. I'm looking at it, I'm like, no, it's not. Like, it, first of all, it was campy, and two, like, yeah, it was adult, but I didn't feel like it was more grown up than 1989 Batman nor 1991 Batman. I think of the four of those movies in that franchise, Batman Returns was the most adult of those four movies, and Batman '89 the second most adult one because he was allowing people to die, and by allowing them to die, he kind of killed them. uh, Antichrist says, "I know I just promote justice. I just never liked arguing, but I love Jesus. But you seem like a good guy. But I would like to pick your mind apart. But I feel like I would go too hard. So at the end of the day, just be good." On a day when we do ask me anything, then go ahead and you can pick my head. But for today, that we're just gonna stick to Batman. All right. But if we do Ask Me Anything Day, or if it's a topic that is configured around your ideas, then have at it. I'll ask any questions as long as it's appropriate and it fits the topic for the given day. And he said goodbye, see you around. Thanks. Come back anytime, Auntie Grace. And sometime, some days Miss Nito will be here too, because I know you and Miss Nito have a little repartee. Leon says I used to get the comics and then the books until I was 13. Then I had a sabbatical. Then I watched Batman Begins, and it was all in again. So my first introduction to Batman was the Super Friends cartoon in the early 80s. I didn't know that the Super Friends actually started in the late 70s, but I started watching it in the very early 80s, towards the end of the Super Friends run. But the end of the run was the best part, but they would play the reruns of the older stuff as well to fill in the gaps, you know, every Saturday. And then I think they started playing the reruns on the weekdays as well, but all the new ones came on usually on Saturdays, so that's how I got introduced to Batman was Super Friends, and then on Scooby Doo because the Scooby Doo Mysteries was having all these crossovers. They had a crossovers with the Harlem Globetrotters. They had a crossover with Batman and Robin. Um, they had another crossover I can't remember, but they used to have all these little crossovers, and so that was my second introduction to Batman was through the Scooby Doo Mysteries, and I remember the what was it called? The DC Powers Superpowers action figure toy line came out back in the early 80s, and I never got into it. My cousins did. I remember they had the Batmobile, and I was like, "Oh, this is awesome!" But I didn't know that much about the action figures because at the time, for me, it was all about He-Man, Star Wars, and GI Joe, and then Transformers. So I never got into the Superpowers action figure toy line, but I was familiar with that. Um, my actual first Batman comic book wasn't until like I'm gonna say 1988. I think yeah, I think it was 1988. Some some of my friends at school, these cool ass white dudes at my school when I lived in Illinois, let me borrow his one of the guys let me borrow his graphic novel, uh, Death in the Family. That was my first introduction to the Batman comic books, and I was like, wow, I didn't know this stuff was so violent and so adult because it's like 1988, so I'm probably what, yeah, 88. I'm probably like 10 years old, maybe 11, but I think 10 years old. And I'm reading this. I'm like, wow, I didn't know this was so violent. And like, that's my first introduction to Batman is that graphic novel. And that's when the second Robin, um, who ends up becoming the Red Hood, Tim, I mean, not Tim Drake, I'm sorry, Jason Todd gets beaten to death by the Joker by a crowbar and then blown to bits with his mother in a warehouse as Batman races to save him, but gets there too late because of a contest that decided his fate that left in the hands of the comic book readers. And we all know by now, some of us know that they actually rigged it. Someone actually rigged the contest to make sure that Jason Todd died. It was a call in. It was a call in contest, and whichever got the most call-ins for whether he gets saved or whether he gets killed won. And someone rigged the phone system so that it kept in the so it would keep more calls coming for him to die. I don't know how they rigged the system, but apparently it was rigged, and we lost Jason Todd at that time, and that became Death in the Family. That was my first Batman comic book and Batman graphic novel, or well, trade paperback graphic novel, same thing. But um, read that. That was dope. The first one, the first one that I owned my of my of my own was Son of the Demon, which is a sort of like an Elseworld story now, which was when. Batman um, ended up falling in love with Talia al Ghul. They get engaged and married. He becomes the and basically Ra's al Ghul set it up for Talia al Ghul and Batman to become married because he wanted Batman to become his protege and take over the League of Assassins for him. But he was changing it. Like he was trying to teach the League of Assassins how to carry on without killing people. And he had a falling out with Ra's al Ghul or Ra's al Ghul, whichever however you want to pronounce it. Some call him Raz, some call him Raish al Ghul, whatever. It doesn't matter. In Arabic, it means the demon head. that's, that's that's what his name means. But anyway, um, at the end of this, so he felt compelled to stay with her because she was pregnant, and she realized that as long as he stayed as the leader of the League of Assassins, he couldn't be Batman and be who he truly was meant to be. So she said that she lost the child through miscarriage. But at the very last scene of the Son of the Demon, it shows that the baby was born, who is, of course, Damian Wayne. But that that story became non-canon. But then, like, 10 years later, they decided to make Damian Wayne a real character again, but they changed the story to where now it wasn't that Bruce Wayne and Talia fell in love and that he became the leader of the League of Assassins and Ra's al Ghul's protege. Instead, now it was that Talia al Ghul tricked, you know, um, kind of misled him and seduced him without and ended up getting pregnant by him without his knowledge because she seduced him and tricked him into sleeping with her. But that wasn't the original story. The original story was they fell in love, they were married. Um, so Damian Wayne was a legitimate child, but she lied and said she miscarried and actually gave him up for adoption in the very end scene. So that was the first Batman book that I owned, and the first one I read was Death in the Family. Um, and I've been watching all Batman stuff, by the way, or DC related stuff. Like most, I don't have my DVDs here with me at my grandmother's house, so I've just been watching stuff on my streams. I don't have Max though, so I haven't been able to use my BitTorrent to download the movies since I don't have Max. But I've been watching other stuff. Like I've been watching the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League this evening before I left out, and now that I'm back, while I was eating dinner, and I was watching like Teen Titans Go because I'd like it's a guilty pleasure. I started watching that because I used to watch it with my niece and nephew like 9 years ago, and they got me hooked on it. So now I still watch Teen Titans Go, and I'm on the last season or this close to the last season, the eighth season, and the last season and the ninth. I don't think they're renewing it for a 10th, but we'll see. Um, Liam says Batman Forever is underrated. Val Kilmer got hard done by. Yeah, a lot of people forget Val Kilmer as Batman. He was actually a good Batman. He was a better Bruce Wayne, but he was a good Batman. I think people forget. I think when people think of the Joel Schumacher movies, they just remember George Clooney as Batman. They forget about Val Kilmer. I think the reason Val Kilmer gets forgotten is just because he didn't do anything that stood out from Keaton or Clooney. I think that's why people forget that. But Val Kilmer was actually a good Batman. Ruben says, "All right, but did he play the best Batman?" Stop playing. I don't think Batman goes around saying, I don't think we can. I thought I told you that we won't stop. I thought I told you that we won't stop. That's more what the I don't know what superhero was well supervillain would probably say that, not a superhero. Oh, Deadpool. Deadpool would definitely say that shit. That Deadpool would definitely say that shit. I think first accident says, yeah, Ben did a great job. Um, Liam says and Ben Affleck did like the reason I'm gonna give him his props is because before the movie came out in 2015, when I first heard about him doing it back in 2013, 2014, I was like, oh, he's gonna suck because he sucked as Daredevil and all that sort of stuff. But he was an amazing as Batman. Like he took the role seriously, and I wish he had actually made the Batman instead of Matt Reeves because he was originally supposed to direct and star and produce that movie, and so much they got so much flack from the Zack Snyder films that I think it changed his mind about doing it. He didn't think it would be a good role, but originally I think he was Deathstroke was supposed to be the bad guy in that movie. That's why they showed that post credit scene in Justice League where they showed Deathstroke rescuing Lex Luthor from prison because originally I think Deathstroke was set up to be the main villain in for the version of Batman that Ben Affleck was originally going to direct before he gave up the project. I wish he had finished it. Liam says the best Batman technique wise was Ben Affleck in terms of comic book accuracy. I agree. You see, I'm not having the Robert Pattinson. It was not good, and I was so hyped for it. Yeah, like originally I thought it was good because first of all, I had the theme music was from Nirvana, and I was feeling that like the Nirvana shit, that was good. And I'm gonna say, and the chase scene between him and the penguin, that you, you gotta give it up. That was a dope scene. The chase scene between him and the penguin, that was dope. And the version of the Batmobile they used was from the 1970s books. It was when Bruce Wayne had stopped living in he had stopped living at Wayne Manor and instead took up in a penthouse in the city in the heart of the city, sort of like the way sort of the way that the Christian Bale version does in the Dark Knight. He while Wayne Manor was being rebuilt from being blown up in the first movie Batman Begins. So while that was happening, he was living in the penthouse at the top of Wayne Manor. I mean, the top of Wayne Enterprises. He had his own penthouse within that building, and he had a special elevator shaft that went all the way down to the below the basement of the of Wayne Enterprises tower, a Wayne Tower, I guess, and below the basement um, was a makeshift Batcave. Now in the comics, that wasn't the only makeshift Batcave. Um, After his Batcave had got discovered and blown up and stuff like that in the comics, he actually had a bunch of makeshift Batcaves all throughout all of Gotham City that he could tap into if he needed it. But the muscle car becoming his new Batmobile was straight out of the 70s comic books. So they didn't make that up, and it was pretty dope. I mean, nothing's gonna be as best as the as good as the Batman 1989 Batmobile though. That's still, I think for most fans, that's still the best Batmobile was the 1989 one. But the the Robert Pattinson Batmobile was cool. It's just Robert Pattinson himself wasn't cool. I think first excellence is yeah, the actor in the Batman was ass. I disliked him in that role. Boo. Ruben says, all right, but Rob played the best damaged Bruce. But see, that's my problem, Ruben. Bruce isn't supposed to come off as damaged to the public. He is internally. That that's that's what he struggles with when he is him true self, Batman. Like if you ask him, like under hypnotism or he's possessed or something, who he really is, like if like when Wonder Woman put the lasso of truth under over everyone to reveal their personal identity, they all say, I'm Clark Kent, I'm Arthur Curry, I'm Hal Jordan, and Batman said, I'm Batman under the lasso of truth, because at his, that's his actual personal identity. Is for him, Bruce Wayne is his alter ego, not the other way around. For all the other guys, for Superman, Clark Kent is his personal identity, and Superman is his alter ego. For Batman, it's the complete opposite. Batman is his personal identity, and Bruce Wayne is his alter ego. So that's why he puts on this happy facade as Bruce Wayne, because that is him playing a persona that puts people off that he's anything remotely similar to the Batman, the crime fighter out at night, terrifying criminals. So he comes off as this lackadaisical, aloof playboy who doesn't take anything seriously. So the fact that they didn't put that in the movie doesn't make sense. I get that they wanted to put like a new spin on the character, but if you're going to make it grounded, then that's part of the grounding, is that Bruce Wayne is not Bruce Wayne isn't someone who comes off as damaged. If someone comes off as damaged, you're gonna look at them as, yeah, this looks like the sort of person who would be a vigilante, right? That's why I said Christian Bale, I think, was the best Bruce Wayne, because he knew how to play someone who's completely at odds with being Batman. That's why in Dark Knight Rises, when he's about to fly um, that atomic bomb over across the Gotham River to save everyone and kill himself in the process, or so they thought, because they didn't know he actually fixed the problem on the his vehicle, the Bat, so they can it could it could do automatic it could fly automatic without manual piloting. He said Jim Gordon was like, he said, shouldn't the people of Gotham know who saved them? He was like, it doesn't matter who I am. He said he said he said Batman could be anybody. It could be the little kid scared when a cop comes in, and when he thinks his whole world is dying before him, and comforts him and tells him everything is going to be okay. And Jim Gordon finally realized, Bruce Wayne, like he did. That's how good he played his alter ego. He played someone completely opposite from who he truly is as a person. Like Bruce Wayne was an alter ego for him, and they completely missed that in the movie The Batman. That is his myth, as part of the Batman mythos, is that Bruce Wayne isn't the person; he's the alter ego. Had to time out a troll. Liam says all Robert Pattinson had to play Batman was the jawline. Everything else was way off. I agree. I mean, he couldn't even put on the muscles. And then they were even talking about during the filming of the movie. He was saying, "Oh, well, during the pandemic, I'm not bothering to get fit." I'm like, "How you not bothering to get fit? That's part of your role in playing the character. Like every other person got fit for the role. Ben Affleck got hella built to play Batman. I mean, and he was right along. Like Henry Cavill was getting fit as shit. Gal Gadot was getting fit. Even Zack Snyder, like the director. I don't know if people seen Zack Snyder. That dude is cut. Even like I think they were working out with the director, but he was just like, nah, this my Batman won't have muscles. And I'm like, what? That's what that's gave that was my first red flag for the movie, when he during the filming, when he was like, I'm not gonna bother working out for this film. He said my version of Batman won't have muscles. I'm like, okay, this is not gonna be good. Think First says, yeah, folks, gotta remember Batman has zero superpowers. Laughing like shit. That's what makes him awesome. His determination. Exactly. His Batman's superpower is his indomitable willpower. This is why when it comes to him and the Joker going at loggerheads at each other, they say they always they bring it down to an ancient Greek philosophy riddle. um, who wins um, uh, an unstoppable force or an immovable object, and they're comparing that to Batman and Joker. One is an unstoppable force. One is an immovable object. In case people never heard of that, this this um this conundrum from ancient Greek philosophy, basically they they canceled each other out. An unstoppable force is is stalemated by an immovable object, right? But that's his superpower is his indomitable willpower. That this is literally why he can wield a Green Lantern ring because he had the Green Lanterns are fueled by willpower, and Hal Jordan is supposed to have the most willpower of almost any Green Lantern, but Bruce Wayne or Batman's willpower is as such powerfulness, probably more than Hal Jordan did. He can he can wield a Green Lantern ring. He took Hal Jordan's ring. Liam Jones says the greatest detective, also a polyglot, cannot speak Spanish. Do me a favor. Right. That's what. Thank you. You're like you're. I think you're like maybe one of two or three people that thought that didn't make sense. Like people who knew Batman like from the comic books that he's a polyglot. Like how is someone who speaks like I think he speaks like a dozen or maybe two or three dozen languages. How does this guy not understand a simple double entendre in Spanish? El rata lata or whatever. I'm like he gets confused between El rata and La rata. Like what? Which is a rat with wings or whatever. But he was like Penguin says, he said you're supposed to be so smart. He says La rata, not El rata. He said you didn't get that. He said that means I don't know. That could be a bat. What you think? A rodent with wings. He said a bat. it, it was just stupid. Like that wasn't clever. See the problem with good detective movies or movies in general where the character has to be really smart is that the character can only be as smart as the person writing it. And so if the person who's writing it isn't that clever, they can't write a dumb person can't write a clever character. Like I get they were trying to go for a detective feel to the movie, which was great because this people have been wanting that in the Batman films, but that that was such a stupid thing to get hung up on. I can see if it was written in an ancient language or something, but you're talking about Spanish of all languages, like the second most common language in the United States. Ruben says, "All right, but who played the best villain?" All right, good. So villain period or just Joker? Like if so, we're gonna say the best the best Batman villain. Hmm. Um, damn, that's a good question. I'm gonna tell you off. Let me see. All right, so let's just lay them out for for the best one. So Jack Nicholson Joker. Um, what's his name? Heath Ledger Joker. Um, Liam Nielsen Ra's al Ghul. Uh, what's his name as as Bane, and the dude in the Batman as Riddler. I think those are the five best, arguably, in all the Batman films. That's kind of close. Uh, I'm gonna say the best villain out of all five of those guys. Um, damn. I want to say Bane because he's the one who actually scared me. Like Bane, like that version of Bane was actually scary. So I want to say him, but yeah, it's gonna be between Bane, the Dark Knight Rises Bane, not the one from 1997. It's either gonna be between Bane or Jack Nicholson Joker. Um, hmm. Okay, well I'll say this. So just like I said before earlier when I was asked to rank the best Batman films from best to worst, and I said the best is the Dark Knight within the Dark Knight trilogy films and all the other Batman films. I'm gonna rate the Dark Knight as the best, but I'm gonna rate Batman 1989 my favorite. So I'm gonna do the same thing with the best villain. I'm gonna give the best villain, then I'm gonna give my favorite villain. So my favorite villain is the Jack Nicholson as the Joker. That's my favorite villain. Um, However, is he the best? Um, I'm not gonna say he's the best. I'm gonna say the best is going to be. Um, I'm gonna say Bane. I'm gonna say Bane was the best. Bane was the Bane was scary. Bane was like legit scary to me. He was legitimately scary to me, and like he carried out like he defeated Batman, and the only reason he didn't kill him was just because he realized killing him wouldn't do anything because he wasn't scared to die. So he rather instead of killing him, he rather torture him. So he took over Gotham, and his plan almost succeeded. Like plus he was smart enough to keep the Joker locked up in the in Arkham Asylum so that he couldn't fuck with his plans. Because that was the explanation that Christopher Nolan gave for why um, there was no version of the Joker in his third film. I mean, obviously in real life, the reason was that Heath Ledger ended up dying, but he but the clever explanation within the film context was that Bane saw the Joker as a wild card and kept him in the Arkham Asylum so that he wouldn't interfere with his plans. So he was more of a I would say he was more of a criminal mastermind than the Joker was. So I'm going to say Bane was the best villain, but my favorite was the Jack Nicholson version of the Joker. Thing first is Batman and Robin gets no bump on my screen. I like 5 or 6 years ago, I watched it again just to see if it was literally as bad as I remembered it, and it really was. The only thing, the only thing that I enjoyed from that movie, literally, like the only thing I enjoyed, well, other than George Clooney, because George Clooney is actually was great as he was actually great as Bruce Wayne. He just sucked as Batman. But aside from, excuse me, aside from George Clooney playing Bruce Wayne, the thing and you guys remember he came back as Bruce Wayne in the Flash right last year, which fit because that was the thing I think people enjoyed him seeing him as was as Bruce Wayne. But anyway, um, the only thing that I enjoyed about Batman and Robin was seeing Don the Dragon Wilson playing the bad guy because a lot of people didn't know that guy in costume was uh was Don the Dragon Wilson. So, but other than that, yeah, that movie sucks. Like I just try not to remember that movie as much as possible. Ruben says, let's not forget Batman by Matt Reeves is supposed to be young and naive. Yes, but again, that's why you need to read Batman Year One, because that doesn't save the movie. Because anyone who's read Batman Year One knows that when Bruce Wayne started off as Batman, he had all his attributes as Batman. The only thing he didn't have yet was he didn't dis- he didn't know what his costume was going to be and what his how he was going to use the suit to intimidate people. But all his attributes were already there in Batman Year One before he even put on the cape and cowl. He already had all the attributes. He had the intelligence. He had the training from years being abroad for learning tra- um, how to be a detective, and that's something they added to Batman Begins too. Like people don't know that Liam Neeson actually played two different characters in Batman Begins. He played Ra's al Ghul, but he also played this French guy, Alec Ducard, Henri Ducard. In the books, Henri Ducard was a separate person. Henri Ducard and Ra's al Ghul weren't the same people. In the comic books, Henri Ducard was this guy in France, a French like a French private detective who taught Bruce all his detective skills, but he ended up being a very sketchy guy that was committing crimes too. But because he was Bruce Wayne's mentor, he decided not to go ahead and stop him and give him up to the authorities out of respect for the way the guy taught him to be a good detective. But he had all the skills before becoming Batman. He was already a master strategist, master detective, master tactician, best martial artist, um, like high intelligence, polyglot, master escape artist, master acrobat, Olympiad level athletics, um, master tracking skills, master ventriloquist. The list goes on. So he had all his attributes as Batman before he ever became Batman. Literally in Batman Year One, it just shows him learning how to learning to use his to don the suit to to portray the image of Batman and how he could use it to intimidate people. Because as himself, he couldn't intimidate people, but when he wore the outfit, he could intimidate people. That was what happened in Batman Year One, and he even created his own criminal persona, Matches Malone, as well, which I think they have used in the movies once. I think I think he does that in the Batman. I think the Matt Reeves version, where he plays Matches Malone, his criminal alter ego. And he usually calls himself Matches Malone because he's usually like got a match in his mouth and wears these little dark shades, so he looks more sketchy. But just because he was just because he was naive didn't mean he didn't know how to be a good. He didn't have all his skills. Like Matt Reeves' Batman didn't even know how to be a ninja. Like it was just crazy, and he was completely off-putting as Bruce Wayne. Like I said, Bruce Wayne is his alter ego. It's not supposed to be off-putting. It's supposed to like let your guard down. It's just like, oh, this is just a lackadaisical billionaire who doesn't have a care in the world. That's a facade. Liam Jones says it was of its time though. Yeah, he said, dude, I watched Batman Returns on Sky Television. It had been out for 2 years. I wasn't affected by it. Um, Clip Catcher says my favorite thing about Batman was his intelligence. It doesn't matter which version; they were all very intelligent and found a way to win all the time. Exactly. This man plays 4D chess. Like he has several steps ahead of everyone. He has contingency plans for his contingency plans. He has a contingency plan for if the Justice League ever goes rogue. He knows how to take down each and every member of the Justice League, including himself. he even knows how to take care. He even knows how to deal with himself if he goes rogue. He has a contingency plan if he loses his mind. which he calls the Al. Um, he has a backup conscience. He's literally developed a backup conscience. If he loses his mind, they will take over for him. And in a new comic run that came out a year or two ago, that actually takes over Bruce Wayne's body. It's interesting, but if by the way, if you guys want to get up on these storylines, but you don't know if you want to buy the books yet, go to the YouTube channel Comic Storian. Even though the guy just passed away this year, they still got the channel up and they still are doing new stuff. They have another person narrating the stuff, but Comic Storian gives you all the like up to date stuff coming out, and they like actually read through it and reenact the stuff going on in the books. Comic Storian is a really great channel. Actually, I better make sure if I'm still subscribed to it because I have not seen any updates on my YouTube for it in a long time. But Comic Storian is great. Like, so if you want to see the new stuff that's coming out, and you want to see like if is it worth me buying the books, you can go there and they're actually reading off the stories. So check them out. Liam says Batman had a crossover with Scooby Doo. That's crazy to me. Oh, you didn't know that? This came out in the early 80s, man. Yeah. Not only that, so like a few years ago, they had a crossover with, you're not going to believe me, Looney Tunes. There was a DC Comics and Looney Tunes crossover a few years ago, and they matched everyone. So there's one right now. You can go to the comic book store right now. In this crossover, there's Elmer Fudd and Batman together. I'm not lying. I'm not, Elmer Fudd and Batman together. Yes. But in the other ones, they're matched up with some other Looney Tune characters, and I'm um, like Bugs Bunny, so Sylvester the Cat, Tweety Bird, all, like the, yeah, check it out. It's cool. IDW is another of the big comic book companies. This is not Batman related, but they've done so many crossovers between so many different franchises. Like Ghostbusters has crossed over with like a whole bunch of people. Like, I mean, I think most people know in IDW that Transformers and GI Joe have crossed over, but that's not anything new because Marvel did that first with them back in the '80s. But yo, IDW does all sorts of crazy crossovers. You'll have like Ghostbusters and Star Trek crossing over, and I'm not lying. Like Star Trek and Ghostbusters. Um, I think they had Archie crossover with some guys. The Archie comics. Um, yeah, they crossed over with so many people. So if you guys like seeing crossovers between completely unrelated franchises, definitely check out IDW comic books. They be having some crazy crossovers. But yeah, right now DC Comics has had a cross. Actually, they just did a recent crossover with the not the Universal monsters. The what's the other monsters? So like with Godzilla, like so they had like Superman versus Godzilla and stuff like that, and all it's crazy. Like so, if you want to see another crossover that DC Comics has done, they've done it with all the kaiju. So like Godzilla and the other kaiju monsters. They just did that either earlier this year or late last year. They did their run of that. So you can check that out. But they got a new crossover right now with Batman and Elmer Fudd. So if that interests you, check it out. I was halfway tempted to buy that today, to be honest. But it's not my birthday, so I was like, I don't have birthday money. So the book I'm about to show you guys that I got was 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 via my friend who bought it for me because I am El Broco until next week. So I didn't have money to splurge, so he actually bought me this, and he bought me the shiny version of it. As soon as I get these last comments, I'm gonna show you guys. I promise. Liam says, "Hey, shout out to whoever decided to give the camp comic to Tim Burton and run with it." So I don't think Tim Burton was writing the Batman '89 comics that came out 4 years ago, but it's based on his work. So I think he does get some sort of producer credit for it, or I don't know if he gets a I don't know if he gets a writing credit, but I'm pretty sure he gets some sort of producer credit for it. It's actually some writers from DC Comics that write it, and it's based on some of his ideas for what he wanted to do if he kept the movie going into Batman 3. Because in Batman 3, again, it was supposed to be Billy D. Williams return as Harvey Dent, and become Two Face, and there was supposed to be a Robin played by a black guy, but it was a debate. At one point, they say it was supposed to be Marlon Wayans. Yes, Marlon Wayans from the Wayne brothers at one point was going to play um, Robin, and I think there's even pictures that you can find somewhere of Marlon Wayans actually dressed up in the Robin outfit. Then others say it was they were trying to get Michael Jackson to play him, to play Robin. I keep hearing that, and I just don't. I'm just not convinced that Michael Jackson could have played Batman back in 1992. I don't see it. Plus, it would have been the same problem with Chris, whatever his name, that played Robin and Batman and Robin and Batman Forever. He would have just been too old for the role. Like by that point, he would have been in his 30s. So I'm glad they didn't do it. BSK, what's up? He said that's my way back. Cash says bonjour. Bonjour, Cash. Are you French, Cash? Parlez-vous français? Comme si, comme ça? Liam Jones says, what the heck? I didn't notice. Blame Dirty says, my favorite thing about Batman is he always had Robin, New Age, maybe someone else, but there's always a team with him. Yeah, people don't know. People always say Batman is a loner, but he has a whole Bat family. Like, obviously, everyone knows Robin, especially the first Robin, Dick Grayson. But Alfred, he considers Alfred like his father. Like, he said the most trusted person, the the only person in the world he has absolute faith in is Alfred, which is so sad that Alfred was killed 5 years ago in 2019 in the run where Bane takes over the city and he tricks Batman and Selena Kyle into falling in love where they were about to get married, and that was all part of Bane's plan to break to break Batman, was to have him fall in love and have her break his heart, and she couldn't go through with it. But this was all like a meticulous plan. Then he broke into the Batcave and killed Alfred. But I mean, he has a whole team. Like he has Alfred, he has Robin, he has Gordon. Jim Gordon is like more or less his best friend. There's Doctor, what's her name, Betty. I'm not sure if she's still alive in the comics or not, but she's the one who took care of him when his parents died. Um, so he has a fondness for her. People might know from some of the old Golden Age era comics. He also had like this aunt or whatever, but that that relationship hasn't survived into like the mainstream comics today. Like from the Golden era, he did have like some sort of aunt or whatever that took care of him, and you've seen that in the campy 1960s Batman as well. That he had that aunt, but that isn't part of the Batman family now. So it's like if we set aside that Alfred died, Alfred, Dick Grayson, who's the original Robin and becomes Nightwing, Jason Todd, who was the second Batman. I mean, sorry, the second Robin, and then he dies and then comes back and becomes the Red Hood. Then you have Tim Drake, who becomes the third Robin, and who Batman considers the smartest out of all of them, including himself. He thinks Tim Drake is even smarter, potentially smarter than himself, and the best detective, and maybe better detective. He became the third Robin. Now he's called the Red Robin, because then came um, after after him it was Stephanie. What's her name? Stephanie something. She temporarily became the spoiler, which was her father's role as a villain. She took the role over and then became the fourth Robin for a little while until Batman fired her. Then she later came back as Batgirl. Then there's Cassandra Cain, Batgirl, the Asian girl who was an assassin and that could was mute because she never learned how to speak. And she was the daughter of Lady Shiva, who's also considered one of the best martial artists in the world. Sometimes she's considered better than Bruce Wayne himself. And her father, um, I forgot something Kane, John Kane or something like that, who's a master assassin and was also one of Bruce Wayne's teachers. But of course, they fell out because Bruce refused to kill. And later, Shiva later became one of his teachers too when he had to nurse himself back to health and become a fighter again after Bane broke his back. He went to he went to Lady Shiva for training, but once he got good enough, she expected him to kill and he refused to do so. So that's when they parted ways. But she respected the fact that he could like deny her what she wanted and hold his own against her. But Cassandra Cain was their daughter, so she's more deadly than almost everyone else in the Bat family other than Dick Grayson himself. Dick Grayson is second only to Batman, to Bruce Wayne. Then there's Azrael, who became Batman for a while, and now he wears his armor as a this former angel of death or whatever thing that he I forget, but you have to get into that whole storyline from the uh, the Nightfall miniseries where Azrael takes over as Batman. So but he's mended his mind and now he's part of the Bat family. Then they have a dog. Yes, they have a dog, Ace the Bat Hound is part of the Bat family. Okay. Then of course it's Barbara Gordon, the original Batgirl, who then became Oracle when she was made a paraplegic by Joker when he shot her and paralyzed her, and he raped her as well. It's not they don't show it, so it's not to be so graphic, but it is well understood. And in the book, The Killing Joke, that he shot her, paralyzing her, and raped her after he shot her, and then took pictures of her nude and showed it to her father when he tried to turn Jim Gordon mad, which is just despicable. That's just despicable. um, that she then she became in the recent books she found a a bionic device to fix her spine again, so now she's able to be Batgirl again, so she's back to being Batgirl. So Cassandra Cain is now called the Black Bat. She operates out of mostly Asia, um, although she'll come to Gotham as well to assist them. And Stephanie went back to being the spoiler. Then there's the Black Bat. No, no, no. I'm sorry. The Black Bat is Cassandra Cain. Then there's what's it called? The Bat something. I forgot, but it's Lucius Fox's son. Lucius Fox has a son who uses Batman tech to be a vigilante. As part of the Batman family. He's part of the Batman family. And then during the era where it was called Batman Incorporated, he set up different Batman, like sort of Batman and Robin teams throughout the entire world to operate to fight for justice, and so that they could like collaborate together across the planet when there's like these huge dangers, right? Um, Then there was another character like Lucius Fox character, which was like a black Batman, but he was operating out of Africa. I think he's still around, but I think he's now just part of the Batman Incorporated team. Uh, at one point, there was a Starro, um, an infant version of Starro that became part of the Bat family. He actually became a Robin, the little alien star-looking creature, like a baby version of it of Starro, became like a Robin type character. I'm not lying. That was one thing. Damian Wayne has taken a cow and start calling it Bat Cow because it has a marking across its forehead that looks like a bat, and he's affectionately taking him in, taking him into the family. Calls the cow Bat Cow. The Bat Cow does not fight crime though, but he's just a pet of Damian Wayne, so I guess it's kind of the part of the family. Um, then there was these two metahumans that Bruce Wayne had adopted. The guy died, but the girl remained. I think she was a sister of his or something like that. I forgot her name, but she's part of the Bat family as well, if she's still around. And then that's not to include his little hit team, the I forgot their names, but he has his own little hit team as well. I wouldn't really say they're part of the Bat family though. They work for him and they're friends with him, but they're not part of the Bat family. All the other ones are like part of the Bat family. But he's not really a loner. It's just that he's a leader and he doesn't always work with the Justice League on everything. Sometimes he does his own thing. But he's not as much of a loner as people think he is. Liam says Val Kilmer was a steady ship. Schumacher went off the rails. I agree. I agree. He says the trailer was so hype it was insane, but the movie was a letdown. Like I said, the Batman Forever was actually good. I can watch that. Like I'll watch that. I but Batman and Robin is just unwatchable. Like I tried to watch it back 6 or 7 years ago, and it didn't age well. Like it was already bad when it came out, but it's worse now watching it like 20 years into the future. It did not age well at all. Um, Liam says, "Bro, when I was working out, I had the Something in the Air Nirvana remix on repeat. Then watched the film, and it wasn't it. I know it was like a letdown because you hear that Something in the Air sound, you're like, oh, this movie gonna be lit. This movie's gonna be lit, and it's not. The only part that was dope that fit that music was the chasing. The chasing was the only dope part of the movie. The rest of it is like a snoozer, but the chasing was good. Liam Jones is perfectly put. He said they forgot the nuance with the Batman and just lent into a broken child. Exactly. They don't get the mythos. And it's because they don't hire the writers who do the books. Like the writers who do the books do the animated films. That's why the animated films have always outperformed the live action films because they got the same people who work on the comics doing the animated films. But for some reason they don't want to hire the comic book writers and who work on the animated films because they want big name people to work on the live action films, even though a lot of these big name uh, writers and producers don't know any of the don't know anything about the comic book content. Snapshot Snyder says 89 Batman was the best, but the Dark Knight is good too. Agreed. Blame Dirty says Batman and Joker tough choice. Mm. Blame Dirty says by not killing Batman sucked you into another movie. Oh, you said by not killing Batman sucked you into another movie. Yeah. So literally the end. So the end universe reason for him not killing was that it was against it was against his morals that it would make him no different than a criminal. And I get that, especially because it makes sense because literally as a vigilante, you already are a criminal. The only thing that separates you from the criminals you're trying to apprehend is the fact that you won't take their lives in the pursuit of apprehending them. So I do get that. So that's the in universe version of him not killing. However, the actual reason was so that the writers can have these villains return in future stories that in which they could use them. So, but because if you read the original Golden Age era Batman, he was killing people all the time. In his very first books, he was killing people. Even in the first appearance of Robin, they literally brought in Robin to appeal to kids and to soften Batman's harder edge. Robin killed people in his very first appearance. Like he kicked people off of the ledge off a construction building, off a construction site. Then Batman was on the construction site himself saying, "Y'all want some more of this?" Liam says the idea was great, the execution was poor. He's I am 100% agreed. He said that Batman wasn't a sulky man child. Exactly. It would just defeat the point of him having an alter ego if his alter ego looked like a person who would be the sort of people who would beat people up at night. He said, Liam says uses unique skills. Blame Dirty says some of them are funny. Bugs Bunny as Batman was good timing. Oh no, no, no. So yeah, that too. So I know what you're talking about. You're talking about like back in the day when they merged the Looney Tunes characters with the superheroes because they actually had some. If for some of us old school guys, we remember those Happy Meals, right? When they merged the all the superheroes with the Looney Tune characters. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is there's a crossover comic books that came out 3 years ago, where there where there's a crossover universe. Like there's like the Looney Tune characters and the superhero characters helping each other out. That's what I'm talking about. And like I said, there's a current crossover comic book right now that brought it back. So I guess they're gonna do it again, where there's like Elmer Fudd helping out Batman, and it's like a more realistic looking version of Elmer Fudd, but he still has on the hat and he has the shotgun with the the jacket. So it's like it looks serious and it looks funny at the same time. I don't know how to explain it other than you just have to see the cover of the comic book. Liam says, "Bro, it's all love, but you're reading comments 15 minutes behind." I know. I'm sorry. Most people are accustomed to this though, who know my live streams. I'm always gonna be like 5, 10 so minutes behind because I'm commenting on everybody's replies, so it's gonna push me behind. But it just means that I'm gonna get to everyone's comments, unless they lose like patience and just leave. But it happens. Blame Day says, "You know how it goes, Liam." He said, "I got to run. It's been fun. Appreciate y'all." And guys, if you can't stick around, also like just come back when this is on replay. I save all of my live streams. There's only one live stream that I've deleted since I've been doing that, and that's only because it got copyrighted because of the lo-fi music. Whoever the people who do that lo-fi, I think copyrighted strike me, so I had to take that down. I didn't want to get in trouble, so they copyrighted strike me, so I took it down because it was they got it demonetized. So it was no point in keeping that up and upsetting the gods of the algorithm. But other than that, all my live streams are up. So as soon as this is done, you can go right to the replay and watch all of it, and it's continuing. So if you missed something that I was going to say on here because you had to go, just come back and check it out. Liam says that blame dirty, take care, bud. He says anyone here play Metal Hair Solid? Metal Gear Solid. All right, so as I know it's only two people here, but as I promised, because people are gonna see this on replay, this is what I actually bought, or rather, my friend bought for me. Shiny version of Detective Comics number one. I mean, Detective Comics number 27 from May 1939, the very first appearance of Batman. So I have another version. I have like two other versions of this, but this is a special edition, and it's a metallic gloss special edition because they have one that's only $7.99, which is a non-glossy edition. This is the metal gloss edition, so you can see this is really cool. Because if you guys don't know, this is the 85th anniversary of Batman this year. He's been around for 85 years, which means Superman's been around for 86. It says starring this issue, the amazing and unique adventures of the Batman. So if you guys don't know, there are and before there was Batman, there was a whole bunch of detective comics within Detective Comics. That and this was his first, but this was Batman's first appearance. It's 9.99. It's well worth it. I'm going to warn you though, you need to get this quickly because these were already sold out, like close to being selling out when I got there, and this had to this probably came out just this week, and they were already almost gone. I would say if you don't get this within the next week or so, they're probably going to be sold out. You'll be able to get the regular the regular special edition, but you're not going to get this metal glossy edition right here. You're not going to be able to find that one without uh, probably getting it on Amazon or eBay or going to Barnes and Noble if they have it. But if you want this version with this metal gloss cover, um, probably go get this within the next few days. It's really nice. It's a facsimile reprint of all the old stuff. Like look, it's a facsimile. Like it even has like some of the old stuff, like the old advertisements from 1930. It has the advertisements from 1939. These are all the so and look, I told you so. These are other detectives. Speed Saunders. Um, who's some other detectives in here? Buck Marshall. I love seeing the old ads. Think for a second. Yeah, but 85 years is nuts. It is almost a century, and we're gonna live long enough. We're gonna both live long enough to see when Batman reaches 100 years, and we'll be able to say, "Oh my God, we've been around for so long." Batman is the Batman comic is 100 years old. But look at this crazy detail. Like it looks like something that came out back then because it's a facsimile reprint. And look at these. Look, even articles from back then. Death on the airways. Because a lot, they didn't have too many TV production then. Most people still tuned into the radio. There wasn't most. I think most of the early TV stuff was like I Love Lucy, Felix the Cat, stuff like that. But most of the time, when people saw something on the screen, they actually went to the movies. They even had movie serials where they were sort of like TV shows. Like there was a weekly, like a weekly thing that came on every week. Like there was a Batman serial. That was actually the very first Batman film. Was a Batman serial back in I'm going to say 1943. I think the first superhero serial I think was Shazam. Well, back then, uh, Captain Marvel was the first black and white movie serial that people would go weekly to go see in the movies. Then it was like Superman. Then it was Batman. Then Batman came again in 1949 with Batman and Robin, which was a movie serial. So here's another detective guy, um, Bruce Nelson. So Bruce Wayne wasn't the only one. The mysterious Dr. Fu Manchu. You're not gonna see that anymore. You're not gonna see Dr. Fu Manchu. It's considered completely racially offensive now. You're not gonna see Dr. Fu Manchu. Um, More advertisements. Okay. What's this guy name? Flat out Flanagan. Cosmo, the Phantom of Disguise. Plainclothes Pete. Slam Bradley. They brought back Slam Bradley, matter of fact. I think in one comic book he actually had a child with Selena Kyle. So they brought back Slam Bradley in the modern comic book in the modern DC comics. Thing first says all facts. Batman 100 is going to be unreal. That kind of reprint is so dope. I know I really like the way it looks because it's made they so if people see this they're gonna think it's old, but it's actually meant it's printed this way just to look old on purpose. These are brand new, but they make the pages look like they're old and yellowed on purpose. That's dope. That's a dope idea. So like even in the back, it still has like the facsimile reprint part of like something from back in the day. It's just like the metal gloss. So that was the highlight of what I bought today. Well, that's the only thing I bought. Like I said, the other three were free. So if you want to go to the comic book store, you can cop those three for free. Um, Batman Halloween, the special edition, part one. Joker the World, special edition, and Bat Family Adventures, part one. Now, if you're buying these for kids, I'm going to advise you don't get this one for kids. This one is, they said, is quite explicit content. So don't let your kids read this one unless you just don't care. But that's up to you. But I'm just warning you that the Joker, the world is explicit content. That's for adults. But the Wayne Family Adventure is safe for kids. This one, Wayne Family Adventure. This is family friendly. Long Halloween, you can use your own discretion. It is like murder and stuff in it, but I guess someone who's like 10 or older probably can handle it because it's not graphic. I think first is the old art and ethnic depictions are crazy. He said, "LOL, I ain't mad at it until I see Doctor Porch Monkey." So when I look at the old stuff, I really don't see racist stuff against black people that much, to be honest. Like I think in a lot of these books they forget there are black people. To be honest, it seems like they forget there are black people in these cities. Um, but when you do see racist depictions of people, it's usually either Latino or Asian. When they do show, the only time I do see racist depictions of black people in these old books, like comic books or old illustrated books, would be like it's usually of people in Africa itself, not really Black Americans, but unfortunately, like they'll show like really racist depictions of Africans, like like they'll have the the bald head, except for like the little ponytail sticking up with with the little with it tied up, or they have a nose through their a bone through their nose right here. They have like the big lips, like that I will see, but usually that's of like uh continental black Africans, not of black Americans themselves. Usually don't. If they do show black Americans, they'll be in some sort of subservient position, but not necessarily showing them in a racist depiction. At least I haven't seen that many from the old Batman and the old Superman stuff I've read. I haven't seen too many racist depictions of black people. I've seen more depictions of Asians and Latinos, or like Dick Tracy. Dick Tracy, the old Dick Tracy comic books had a lot of racist depictions of people. Even in the old Max Fleischer cartoons, if you guys remember that, when Dick Tracy came out in 1990, and the reason they brought out Dick Tracy in 1990 was because of the success of Batman in 1989. So they made a Dick Tracy film, they made a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film, they made the movie the Phantom, if you guys remember that, and the what was that other guy? The I forgot, but all those films came off the success of the 1989 Batman film. But the Dick Tracy movie, when it came out, they started showing the old Dick Tracy cartoon from back in like the 50s or 60s, and that shit was racist. Like the villains, and like people know the villains' names were all based on how they physically looked, and they had some they had some really racist depictions of Asians and Latinos in those films. I mean, in that cartoon. Thing first is I know a dude that owns a comic book store here in Arbutus, excuse me. He said I'm definitely getting a hookup. Arbutus? You're not talking about no. You're not talking about Cosmic Comics, right? No, 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 no. I'm sorry. No, Cosmic Comics moved out to Linthicum because it used to be around my way in Catonsville. Okay, um, yeah, Cosmic Comics used to be in Catonsville, and then about 5 6 years ago it moved out to Linthicum, and so that's why I rarely go. But I used to go up to Cosmic Comics like almost every week, or at least I would say every month, until they moved out to Linthicum towards BWI Airport. But I'll still go out there every once in a while because that used to be my favorite comic book store just because it used to be so close. And back in the 90s, it used to be Jeppy's Comics. Like Jeppy's Comics used to be right across the street from Security Square Mall. So I used to go there all the time. And then they moved. Like first they were like right next to the mall in this little shopping center. And then they moved across the street to this little strip mall, which was still really close to Security Mall because you could still like literally just walk across Rolling Road to get to them. And then they closed down. Then they had the Jeppy's Museum down in downtown Baltimore, where they actually had one of the original copies of the first Batman comic book, which was like it was under glass seal and key because it was over like a million. I think it was about a million and a half dollars worth. And so they had Jeppy's Museum in downtown Baltimore, and that closed down about 5 6 years ago. Um, thing first is they couldn't stand Asians in comics and cartoons. Shaking my head. He said so true on the African depictions. They did them greasy as f. Yeah, they did. They made them look horrible. And the cartoons too, like the old Fleischer cartoons or the old Tom and Jerry MGM cartoons. Even the old Merry Melodies Looney Tunes cartoons. Like they made black people, Native Americans, Asians, Latinos look bad. I mean, Speedy Gonzalez is just a racist depiction of Mexicans, especially, and he wasn't even the worst. It was his cousin that was even more racist, Slowpoke Gonzalez. Slowpoke, Slowpoke Gonzalez was, Speedy Gonzalez's cousin, but he moved really slowly, so he carried a gun on him in case someone tried to catch him. He was like, "I'm Slowpoke Gonzalez. I'm the slowest mouse in all Mexico, but I pack it be gone." That shit, I used to laugh so hard at that shit. But it was so racist. Even as a kid, I realized that shit was racist. But I couldn't help from laughing because it was so funny. Because people would just pick him up and try to eat him or kill him, and then he would just take out this big six shooter revolver. It used to be hilarious. And then, of course, Speedy Gonzalez was acting like he was hopped up on something. It was just so racist. Thing first is I remember Cosmic Comics, also that one near Security Boulevard. Yeah, so it was Jeppy's Comics back in the 90s. Like I said, they were there. They moved to two different locations. So originally they were right at that little center where across from Security Mall where the Wise supermarket is. So right there, that used to be where Jeppy's Comics was, where Wise is, and then I guess they decided to move across the street, and so then they were across the street where now there's like a MMA BJJ gym and some restaurants, like a Chinese restaurant, takeout restaurant, stuff like that. It used to be there in the 90s, and then by like I'm gonna say like the early 2000s it closed. But then they also had Jeppy's Museum in downtown Baltimore, like right there at the harbor. You could go there and they had like a bunch of like stuff from like comic books and sci-fi and fantasy, and they had a under glass key and seal. They had like an original printing, first copy of Detective Comics number 27, which was worth over $1 million. And then I guess that museum didn't do so well, so they closed. And I was mad because I never went, and it was stupid because I was working downtown at the time, and every time I walked by, I was like, "Oh, I'll just go one day," and I never did. And so then it ended up closing. So I was mad. I was like, "Damn, I never got to check out the museum." Um, Rob D says, "Little Sambo." Was that a character? Because it sounded like that used to be a character in one of those books. They used to be called Little Sambo. If I just can't remember which one. Thing first says, "Yeah, Looney Tunes went ham, Lordy, times 40." He's still laughing my black ass off at Slow Mo Mex. Yeah, you don't remember Slowpoke Gonzalez? Little Slow. That was one of the funniest Looney Tune characters ever. Like I said, it was so racist, and he used to talk slowly. He was like, "My name is Slowpoke Gonzalez. I am the slowest mouse in all of Mexico, but I pack a big gun." He had this oversized revolver he would just pull out of nowhere and shoot the shit out of you. Shit was funny as shit. But yeah, like I said, like I said, speaking of that, there is a huge crossover between Looney Tunes and the DC Comics superheroes that came out 2 years ago. So if people are interested in seeing how that crossover works, they should definitely check it out. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, I got that confused, guys. I'm sorry. It was a crossover between Hanna-Barbera, the Hanna-Barbera characters in the DC Comics superheroes. Right now, they're doing the Looney Tunes crossovers, but originally it was the Hanna-Barbera. Yeah, that's. I'm sorry, I got that confused. It was the Hanna-Barbera cartoon characters crossing over with the DC Comics, and just now they did a crossover with the kaiju monsters from Godzilla. They just did that. Um, they just wrapped up just now, so you can probably still find it in the comic book stores if you're looking. And right now they're doing the Looney Tunes crossover. So the first one I've seen right now is Batman and Elmer Fudd um, assisting each other. So if, like I said, if you guys are interested in those crossovers, like I said, 2 years ago they did the DC Comics book heroes crossing over with the Hanna Barbera characters. You know Hanna Barbera, like Yogi, all those people. They did that crossover. Um, and then like I said, just this year they wrapped up the merging with the Godzilla kaiju monsters, and right now they're doing the Looney Tunes crossover because like I said, the first one I think is Batman and Elmer Fudd, and it looks as funny as it sounds. It really does, but it's not drawn in a cartoonish way. Like instead of making Batman look cartoony, they just make Elmer Fudd look more human looking. So I mean, he is human, but you know what I mean. Like he's drawn to look more realistic. Like he's not drawn to look more, like toonish. Like he looks more like a realistic depiction of a person. So it looks that might be funny. The only comic book I couldn't find today, which I was looking for, I wanted the Deadpool Wolverine comic book, but I wanted the variant cover where it shows Biggie Smalls on it. Like yeah, so there's a variant. It was three variant covers, and that was variant cover number three. I think each variant cover was like a hip hop artist, and the variant cover number three with Deadpool and Wolverine had just came out alongside the movie 2 months ago. It had Biggie like kind of putting himself in between Deadpool and Wolverine from fighting, and I asked the owner of the store. She was like, "No, nah, I'm sorry." She said it's gone. She was like, "That actually sold out before the movie even released." I'm like, "Damn." She's like, "Yeah, I know." She's like, "I'm sorry." I was like, "That's cool." Captain Caveman. He said that's definitely Hanna Barbera. Yeah. Rob D says Little Sambo was a cartoon stereotypical depiction have having a black child. Yeah, no, I remember who it was, but I thought there was like a specific portrayal of the Little Sambo character in a few different cartoons. Like I know it was like like a generic racist depiction of like a little black child that came out of like the early 1900s, early 1900s, late 1800s. But I remember there was like either a cartoon or something where there was like an actual character that used the little Sambo as like one of its actual characters in the show or book or something. I just can't remember it. Someone might remember it. I think first is these crossovers sound crazy as shit. Yeah, it's cool. Like I said, that that was 2 3 years ago. It was like the Hanna Barbera crossover with the DC superheroes. Then this year there was the crossover between Godzilla and the other kaiju monsters with the DC superheroes, and the DC superheroes had to actually stop Godzilla. And I was like, did they nerf Superman again? I was like, because Superman should be able to single-handedly handle Godzilla. So I'm thinking either they made Godzilla more powerful or they nerfed Superman's powers that he has to like fight against Godzilla because literally a guy who can destroy universes shouldn't be able to have problems destroying Godzilla. So I'm guessing they nerfed Superman to make it work. And then right now there's a Looney Tunes crossover. Thing first is, oh my god, Captain Caveman was hilarious. I never heard of this Biggie Deadpool cover. Wow, yeah. So if you can find it, I'm probably just gonna have to buy it on Amazon, to be honest, because they it's probably sold out everywhere after the Deadpool movie. But it's the Deadpool and Wolverine comic variant cover number three specifically. It has to be variant cover number three because I don't know what one and two were. But there was three variants. There's the main cover art, then there's the three variant covers. And oftentimes as the variant covers become more valuable than the original cover art because they bring in like special artists to draw the variant covers. ICS says I'm Batman. Okay, he might be. Don't know. Oh, speaking of funny people saying they're Batman, has anyone watched the Gavin Blake videos either on YouTube or he posts on everything? I've seen him on Instagram. I've seen him on YouTube. I've seen him on Facebook. But he plays this Batman that just beats the shit out of people for no fucking reason. Like, it, if you haven't seen these Gavin Blake videos, then definitely check them out. Um, I give people like free promos all the time. I certainly hope people are doing that for me. One person I do know who gives me free shout outs is Moonlit Fern. So shout out to him. He's also one of my moderators. Um, he always gives me lots of love. So I gotta point out this guy named Moonlit Fern. If you guys haven't heard of him, he has a YouTube channel. He's a guy of Native American heritage, but he lives in Thailand with his wife, and he does digital content where he lives. Better production quality, better production quality than me, by the way. He does live streams, but unfortunately, he doesn't keep his live streams up after the replay, so it's hard for me to catch him, except if he's actually live streaming. But he does live streams and he does YouTube shorts and stuff like that. Shout out to him. He always gives me lots of love in his videos. So I just want to return the favor. Thing first is yeah, that Biggie in white is on eBay for like $88. Gonna peep that Gavin Blake stuff. $88? Damn! Like this literally just came out 2 months ago. Don't, I always tell you this: don't buy that one for $88. They trying to get you. Go to go to Amazon first. Amazon is going to have more responsible buys. See, the thing, eBay is good to catch the like. Stuff that you can't find on Amazon is good to find on eBay. The problem with eBay is these resellers. These resellers will try to gouge you. I don't see people really gouging you on Amazon the way they try to gouge you on eBay. Like they'll try to get you on stuff, and if you don't look up other people selling the same thing, you won't know. So say you'll see that Biggie uh, variant cover for Deadpool and Wolverine for like $88. I'm pretty sure if you look long enough on eBay, you'll probably find it for like $20, if not $10. I'll say because there's nothing other than the cover art itself. There's nothing special about the material they use for the book, like they did with this. This is worth $10 because of the special covering, but I bet you once it sells out and you can only get it online, it's gonna be about double the price of this. So it's gonna be like 20, 25, $30. Still not a bad price. But if they were to sell that same magazine for like that same comic book for like $88, no way. I'm not paying that much for it. So don't I would say don't buy that one for $88. They trying to get over on you because the book itself was only $5 at its original price. It was like $5. The regular version of this was $7.99, but that's again because of its size. This isn't a regular size comic book. This is a regular size comic book, and usually they are $4.99. Well, this is free, but at this size and the thickness, no diddy of this comic book, it would be $4.99, right? So if someone the variant cover that Deadpool and Wolverine is the same size as that, no way you should spend $88 for it. I wouldn't spend more than like 20, $25. Um, IGS says, have you seen P Holmes? Oh yeah, I've watched the P Holmes. Those are hilarious. Did you see? Did you see the one where he made fun of the Pat Robinson Batman? That shit was funny. Or the one where he fires every member of the Justice League. I watched all of those. He fired Wonder Woman. He fired because he did the Street Fighter series too, but then after that he was doing like the Batman one, and he played like the Christian Bale version of Batman, firing every member of the Justice League. Then he fires the Joaquin Phoenix version of Joker. He even says at the end, "I like Jared Leto's Joker better than yours." That he fires the Pat Robinson Batman as well. It's yeah. I definitely watch the Pete Holmes stuff as well. That shit is funny. Liam Jones says to IGSAN, um, I have seen that it's funny, but he is unbearable. I don't know. Pete Holmes is funny to me. Well, at least the only thing I've ever seen him do was the Batman stuff and the Street Fighter stuff. I haven't seen his other content, but those two things are hilarious. Rob D says eBay retailers are greedy as fuck. Yeah, because Rob D, a lot of them are resellers. They buy up a lot of stuff and just resell it on eBay, and they try to gouge you on the price. There's no way that Biggie variant cover is worth $88. Like I said, at best $25. At best. I still probably wouldn't pay $25 because I'm probably sure I can get it for 15 to 20. But I'll pay up to 25, but there's no way I'm paying $88 for it. Thing first is okay, thanks. Found one for like $10 and another for 34. See, I told you. Like you always got these resellers on eBay that try to get you. They're hoping you don't see that other people are selling it for what it's currently worth. Thing first is Pete Holmes. I gotta check that out. Yeah, you definitely the Pete Holmes stuff is hilarious. You might see him on the old episodes of college humor. They rebranded themselves as Dropout TV, but it used to be called College Humor. Um, his stuff was on there, but then I think it's now under his own YouTube channel, and I've seen him on Facebook. Um, IGS says I'm happy P Holmes returned as Batman after all those years. Yeah, because I think he did two runs of it. There was that one run he did where he was spoofing everything from the Dark Knight trilogy. That was funny. The funniest one to me of that of the his original run playing Batman was when he was was when he met up with Talia al Ghul and she stabbed him. He's like, "Yeah, the same way I stabbed you with my," and she's like, how do you like it to see yourself bleed out in pain after I did such and such?" He's like, "Yeah, sort of like how I did you." And this, it was just hilarious. It was like, just, it was just like 10 minutes of him saying how much he fucked her. Yo, that was the funniest skit that he did. Was the one with him and Talia al Ghul. They're supposed to be like at the end of Dark Knight Rises when he gets stabbed and betrayed by Talia al Ghul when he realizes that's who she really is, and Bane comes in, says, "I am He's like, "I am her protector." He's like, "You wasn't protecting her when I was banging the shit out of her last night." It was funny as I don't know what. You gotta watch that. That 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 run. I think he did that. That had been a long time ago. He must have done that like what 10 years ago. Because I remember showing that to a friend like 10, 11 years ago, and both she and I were laughing at it. So then he came back and did another run as Batman, still as Christian Bale, but this time he's firing every member of the Justice League. Then he starts firing people from the spin-off films that he didn't like, the Joker film, the Matt Reeves, the Batman. Um, it's funny. It's really funny. IGS says, yeah, that penguin one had me dying too. Yeah, that one was fun. The one who he was trying to find a Joker. He was just beating up a regular circuit. He was beating up a regular party like clown for kids, like a one of those clowns you hire for like birthday parties for kids. He was beating the shit out of him. Where's the trigger? Where's the trigger? Where's Harvey? He was like, I'm just a clown. Oh, that was funny. Yeah, those old ones were funny as I don't know what. Like for instance, this Pete Holmes sound hilarious. No, I'm telling you, you gotta watch those. Those are funny. Brock says you're smiling. That must be nice. You've never smiled before, Brock. Uh. But yeah, well, I already tuned out Monka Brock. He sounds a little special. Thing first says laughing my black ass off at him beat down a regular clown. Yo, you gotta see that. That one was funny. Like the scene where he locks the door to the interview room. He's like beating up Heath Ledger's version of the Joker to try to get out from him. Where he kidnapped both um, Rachel Dawes and Harvey Dent, and he's beating the shit out of a regular old clown. And he was like, "I'm just a clown." He's like, "Where is it?" Yeah, that one was funny. That one was funny, and the one like I said with Talia al Ghul when she reveals who she really is, he was like, "What was he saying?" He said, "I'm the greatest detective. B is for Batman. A is for something." He said, "I'm the greatest detective ever." He said, it was funny. You gotta watch that one. That one was funny. That was when College Humor used to be really funny. Another person who started off on College Humor was that guy who I can't now stand, Adam Conover. Was it Adam Conover when he played a persona of himself where he's really annoying? The irony is the real version of him is just is almost is more annoying than his persona playing an annoying person because he's a really smug, self-righteous, like du- left leaning dude in real life. But he does. Uh, Adam ruins everything that came out of College Humor as well. And like I said, the irony is the real version of him is more annoying than his version of himself in Adam Ruins Everything. But that all came out of College Humor when it was good. Now they put all their best stuff behind a paywall, and the only stuff they put on like regular YouTube is like them doing like a fake newscast, and they keep saying outrageous stuff to try to get each other to break character and laugh. And it got played out because they've been doing it for like the last 3 or 4 years, because they put all their actual good stuff behind a paywall now, so that you actually have to pay to subscribe to Dropout TV to watch all that good stuff. They used to be free when they used to call themselves College Humor. They changed it from College Humor to Dropout TV just because most of the comedians and writers for that channel have are like much older now. They're like in their 30s. So now they call it Dropout TV. Um, Liam says, "Hold up, talking about price gouging. I recently tried to buy Oasis tickets from Ticketmaster. They were 150 pounds. Ended up buying them for 450 pounds. Oh, that's not even gonna start on Ticketmaster. That could literally be a whole live stream in itself, talking about how shady live stream. I mean, how shady Ticketmaster is, and how they got too much of a. They have too much. They have almost the entire market share of being able to buy like um, tickets to go to live concerts. Like even like it's so bad that even the recording artists themselves are trying to get away from Ticketmaster. Like some of them are trying to use um these independent venues in which they can sell people their tickets. Like I think the biggest few the biggest competition that Ticketmaster has received as of late was um from was it my wife's favorite artist t- um what's the blonde girl's name, guys? I was about to say Britney Spears. No, that's the wrong person. Swift, Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is like really the only person that kind of like knocked Ticketmaster on their ass, because she has such a huge global following that she's been able to not get dicked by Ticketmaster like all these other artists are like. And it's not so much the artist getting dicked, but their 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 audience. So, and the it makes people dislike the artist because they got to go through Ticketmaster to see them. Uh, I think versus just the interrogation scene. LOL. IGS says I haven't seen that one. Oh, you gotta watch that one. That one's funny. You gotta watch the interrogation scene when he interrogates the wrong clown. And then, like I said, the one where he finds out that the woman he was with was actually Talia al Ghul, the daughter of Ra's al Ghul, and that he just turns that completely X-rated. It's funny. I can't say the jokes on here because they would probably get me demonetized, but like it's it's just funny. Thing first is yeah, Ticketmaster is insane. I know. Um, Jay says I saw the Mask of Phantasm cinema today and Batman '89 at the IMAX yesterday. For real? Where were they playing Mask of Phantasm in the theaters? I wish they would re-release that. I think that would do well if they re-released it, because remember when it first came out. If people don't remember, it came out in 1993 and it didn't do well. But as soon as it as soon as it hit the video stores, it did really well, and it instantly became a cult classic. Most people believe like that was the best of the animated Batman films. No, I mean, well, the best of the animated DC films was Mask of the Phantasm. Most people think that's the best one out of all of them. If not, it's in their top three. It's if it's not if it's not their favorite DC animated film, it's usually in their top three. It's Mask of the Phantasm. And so if they re-released it right now in theaters, it would do well. and Batman '89 to IMAX, I would definitely pay to see that. Uh, the first time I saw it was in a drive-in movie theater. Like I think that was like the last time I went to a yeah, I think that was the last time went to a drive-in was I saw Batman '89 in the drive-in theater and Ghostbusters 2. When I moved back to Maryland back in late 1990, there weren't any drive-in theaters in the area. Well, there might have been one at Westview Mall for people who know the area. It's an area in Baltimore County. I think there was a drive-in theater out Westview Mall. Then that closed. Then after that, there was only one drive-in theater in the entire state of Maryland. So, I think first is Batman '89 was so dope. Prince on the soundtrack. He said, "Come on." Exactly. He said Jack did an amazing job, and it was dope to see Michael Keaton transition from comedy to his epic role. Right, because most people don't know before he played that epic role, he was usually known as playing funny characters like Mr. Mom and Beetlejuice, and what was the other one where he played this guy who became the supervisor at a auto at a at a car at a car factory that got bought out by a Japanese company. I forgot the name of that one. That was there, and then it was Johnny Dangerously, which was like one of my favorite characters he played back in the '80s was Johnny Dangerously. I don't think a lot of people remember that. Um, Jay Pond says Mask of Phantasm, Batman '89, Batman Forever, and Superman are all showing via AMC IMAX. I viewed them here in Oklahoma. All right, I'm gonna have to go. All right, I'm gonna have to go check out the one here in Baltimore. There's an IMAX downtown Harbor that I like. That's where I saw that's where I saw Avengers Endgame. There's other IMAXs around as well, but that would be the one I would choose. And well, because there's one in Towson, but that's not an IMAX. That's the rival to IMAX. I forgot what it's called. It's called um I forgot what it's called, but it's like a rival to IMAX now. But that's not the same thing. Thing first is Westview, where the Home Depot is now. Shaking my head. I know. He said Moonlighting was another one. Yeah, that was a good show. Moonlighting. But he said that was with Bruce Willis. Yeah, that was a good show. But yeah, that wasn't Bruce Willis. That was I mean that wasn't um Michael Keaton. That was Bruce Willis. But yeah, I like that when it came out. I think that was like I think that came out like '87, something like that. IGS says I'm starting to like Keaton's Batman, even though it isn't faithful to the comics. He's just another version of Batman. He killed it in the Flash. Yeah, so Keaton's Batman falls within the Burton verse, just like Christian Bale isn't a canon Batman either. He falls within the Nolan verse. Like they are their own thing, or I guess you can call them Elseworlds, sort of. Just like Matt Reeves' Batman isn't the canon Batman. None of them are. The even Zack Snyder's Batman isn't like none of the cinematic Batmans have really been close to the canon versions, and that's going to be the case for almost every superhero character. The only superhero movie I saw where Dick stayed really close to the comic book character but sucked as a result of it was Spawn. Was pretty loyal to the comic book, but the movie sucked. That's why they're remaking it. Todd McFarlane is going to be in charge of it again. I think sometimes it's a mistake that the person that's in charge of the comic book also makes the movies or TV shows because they might be too close to the character to be able to do it justice on a different type of medium. Also, just because they create the character doesn't mean they can do good work on a TV show or on a movie. That's why G.R.R. Martin doesn't make the executive decisions when it comes to his the shows based on his film on his I mean on his books because he's a he's a fictional author. He's not a filmmaker. Jay says, yeah, the cast was great in all the Batman movies. Eckert was a cool character. Yep. He said my friend Canon Hotep is in Baltimore. Okay. IGS says if Affleck wasn't a killer, he would be very faithful. Yeah, but again, Michael Keaton's Batman killed too. Just like because it wasn't as graphic, people kind of forget that Michael Keaton was killing in Batman. I mean, the best thing to remember, like the most iconic killing he did was the big guy who was beating him up, and then he handed him a bomb. And the guy just looked up, and Batman was like, and just walked away as he blew up. I'm like, God damn! He literally just handed the guy a bomb and let him blow up. Like then on top of that, remember he had machine guns on the Batmobile and was shooting people down as he came into the Axe chemical factory to stop Joker from releasing all those chemicals into the water stream to kill all the citizens of Gotham. He came in there guns blazing, literally just shooting people down like he did not care. And remember, he tried to shoot Joker dead in the Batwing when he came down. I don't know what he called himself doing, but he came down at an angle, trying to shoot the Joker. He wasn't trying to scare Joker. He was legit trying to kill him. Like Michael Keaton's Batman was a killer too. But I think because we don't consider him like an accurate Batman, that people have given Michael Keaton's Batman more grace than they've given Ben Affleck's Batman. Um, because the difference is in the Zack Snyder version, he was a Batman that didn't used to kill, but has become so jilted that he started killing his bad guys after what happened to Robin. That he realizes the only way to stop them is just to kill them. So I think that's why it upset people is because this was in this movie this was a Batman who didn't kill, and then he started killing because he became a jaded person, and it's after, I guess, the sacrifice that Superman makes that he realizes the error in his ways, I guess, but it's poorly explained. Thing first is Keaton was getting busy. LOL. He said Joker's goons were hilarious. He was killing the shit out of Joker's goons. Look, even in the comic books, look, he doesn't kill people, but if you get in the way of a bullet, he's not going to stop you. I'll say that. Like he uses people as body shields all the time, and I don't mean like he'll like literally grab them. Sometimes he will, but he won't literally grab someone and use them as a body shield while someone's shooting at him. What he'll do is people are shooting at him and he'll run around the goons so that as they're trying to shoot him, they unintentionally kill their buddies. It's not killing per se, but it, in the process, people die. That's all I'll say. IGS says, yeah, I don't understand people's criticism of Affleck when they love Keaton. Yeah, like I said, if you're consistent, you can't be that mad when you see Keaton kind of doing the same thing. It's just less graphic. And I remember like when we watched it on DV, like no, I mean we watched it on digital, and my friends and I were actually like stopping and replaying all of his scenes to see how many times he actually killed people, so we could actually measure up his kill count. And we had to say, all right, every time the Batmobile hits someone, we're going to count that as a death, because something when that is hitting when that machine built like a tank hits someone at full speed, that's pretty much death. And then we had this debate whether he was killing people in the warehouse when he saved Martha, like that one time when he gutted the person with his gauntlets. And I was like, I'm sorry, death. I said, did you see his face when he did it and when he ripped into the person? I was like, he killed that person. And they was like, no, he didn't. I'm like, yes, he did. I was like, look at this. I think we freeze frame uh, that scene like multiple times. And I was like, look, and we was debating that. He was like, all right, yeah, he did kill him. I was like, yes, of course he killed him. I said his metal. I said his gauntlet. I said those blades on there are used to stop swords. He literally gutted that guy with it, or when he threw the box at someone with his grapnel hook. I said in the ultimate edition of it, it shows blood splattered all over the wall when he hit the guy with the box. I was like, that guy's dead. Like he splattered his head. I was like, that guy is dead. He killed. I was like, he literally killed that guy, and he definitely killed the um the Russian guy at the end. People didn't know who that was, but if you look at the credits, that was KGB, which was a famous villain that he actually killed in the comics, and then they rewrote that scene to make it that he didn't kill the guy, that he just left him in prison in this room within the sewers, and that the guy eventually got himself free. But in the original version, he just kept this guy trapped in there until he died. But that was the KG Beast. That was who that Russian guy was supposed to be in Batman versus Superman. But he clearly killed that guy when he dodged the flame and saved Martha. Save Martha. Let me stop. um, thing first is Jack pulled out that long ass no diddly no diddy gun, laughing my ass off. It was so funny because it was so campy, and the thing was the gun was long enough to shoot down the fucking Batwing. I'm like, how the he? I was like, how? The scene was just so funny. I don't know. It was supposed to be serious, but it was funny because Batman had like a targeting system. Like I don't know if people remember, he literally brought out a targeting system and was shooting at the Joker and couldn't hit him. And then the Joker just randomly pulls out a gun, takes the entire stretches the whole thing out and shoots him with the little flag coming out, and it fucking injures the Batwing and makes it crash. I'm like, how in the world? It was just funny. Like it was just hilarious. Like I said, the man had an entire fucking targeting system and couldn't hit Joker. The Joker just casually point and shoots his gun at him and brings down the Batwing. That shit was hilarious. Thing first is Affleck got it bad, but his version was accurate for his age and that role. He did what he knew or needed to, and was highly effective and properly weathered in that flick. Liam Jones is asking, thing first, um, um, what do you think about Adam West Batman? Um, IGS says Zach's commentary on Batman vs Superman had me dying. Batman blew up those cars, and Zach just said, "Yep, no one died." He, did he really say that? Because from my understanding, he knew he was killing people because and people were mad at Zack Snyder for the his first film in 2013 with Man of Steel, because he literally said in the commentary, well, all people always say, well, Superman doesn't kill. He said, so I wanted to say, well, let's see what will happen if Batman killed, if Superman kills. And I'm like, so you intentionally made Superman kill when he didn't have to, just to be an edge lord. So it's like he did the same thing with Batman. He knew that Batman has a whole no kill policy, so he literally did that just to be edgy. Because even in The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller, which is a very dark version of Batman, but in Dark Knight Returns, he's in his late 50s coming back as the role of Batman. Like he shaves off his mustache, ditches his cane, and becomes Batman again. And he's like in his late 50s. Um, but even still, he doesn't kill. Like there's one scene where you think he kills, and it's actually the Joker. The Joker breaks his own neck in Dark Knight Returns just to make people think that Batman killed him, and have people come after him for murdering the Joker. But in the book, Joker literally breaks his own neck when Batman captures him, so that people will think that Batman tried to kill him. So, but that is dark as dark as hell. But even in that comic book, Bruce Wayne didn't kill anyone. He fucked people up though. I'll say that. Like he was much he was much more hardcore than the younger Bruce Wayne. Like he was beating the shit out of people. Like he fucked Joker up. But then the Joker ended up breaking his own neck after Batman had pretty much kind of crippled him anyway. So Joker just like cracked his own neck and killed himself, so that people would think Batman did it. And there was another scene where he's fighting the leader of these punk rockers, this punk rock gang, and he ends up like doing like taking this guy down with sort of like Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And well, there wasn't really Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Well, it was, but they wouldn't know. I'm gonna say it was like sort of like wrestling, catch wrestling, judo techniques he was doing with this guy. He beat the shit out of this guy to show him that he's the boss of Gotham, and he made all his gang members follow him in Dark Knight Returns. And there's a movie version of it too if people want to watch The Dark Knight Returns. It's broken into two parts, part one and part two. Thing first is Liam Jones. He said, "Not sure where you're going there, but cool, lol." He says, "Save Martha." That was so goofy. Like that, I think that single handedly destroyed the movie. That part. What I think did why Batman. The reason how what could have made Batman versus Superman better is that those should have been two separate movies. They tried to combine too much into one movie. If they had made just the animosity between Batman versus Superman one thing, and then the 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 Dawn of Justice where Superman dies saving the world from Doomsday, a separate movie, that could have been Man of Steel 2, and Batman and Superman could have been a separate thing. If those were two separate movies instead of one, it would have worked. They tried to throw too many things into one movie and it just didn't work. Like it's like, are we talking about Batman or Superman? Or are we talking about these people coming together, becoming the Justice League? Or are we talking about the fight against Doomsday? Like all of this stuff was jammed into one movie, and it overcrowded it. So Liam says, "Think first. I just dipped in and thought you were talking about the inaccuracy of Zach's Batman." Uh, IGS says Zach was just being a troll when Superman tackled that guy through the wall. He said, "Yep, that guy's completely fine." Yeah, I was like, "Come on, man." He didn't just tackle him. Like he went through several walls, and then Zach was just like, "Oh yeah, he's living." But of course he was trolling. You know, another here's another thing people didn't catch in the Batman versus Superman movie, which was really messed up, and I don't think a lot of people caught it. He killed every sidekick in that movie. I don't think people noticed that. So that the guy who was saying he was a CIA agent in the beginning of the film with Lois Lane, when they were those African terrorists or whatever, pirates, whatever they call themselves. That you know who that was, right? That was Superman's sidekick. Um, what's the little photographer name from the Superman comics? That's who that guy was. But instead, now he's like a CIA agent pretending to be a photographer. They killed him in the beginning of the movie. Then, of course, they showed that Robin was already dead in the movie, and it said "ha ha ha" from the Joker, showing that he had already died prior. He had already died off screen, and this is why Batman was so jaded that after 20 years of operating in Gotham, he lost he lost his adopted son, and that wasn't the only sidekick. Then Lex Luthor loses his sidekick, but he blows her up. So The Japanese girl that plays the girlfriend of Wolverine in the Wolverine, she plays Lex Luthor's sidekick. I don't know if you guys realized that was Lex Luthor's sidekick. He kills her when he blows up Congress. So that was another like really cynical thing Zack did, was that he killed all the sidekicks in Batman versus Superman. Lex Luthor's sidekick, Superman's like best friend, the photographer from the Daily Planet. I can't remember his name. He played the photographer slash CIA agent, and then of course Robin. They didn't say which Robin it was, but most people assumed that it was Jason Todd, but it could have been Dick Grayson as well. We don't know. But that was definitely a cynical move on Zack Snyder's part. I didn't appreciate that he killed every single sidekick. Thing first is gotcha Liam, but LOL, but nah. He said I'm just commenting along with the chat, not really invested in my quote unquote independent opinions on anything for real, for real. Thing first is yeah, Batman versus Superman split would have been dope. It did seem kind of crammed. It was like it was three different things going on. It was like three different plots going on at once, and it made the movie jerky. Like even the Ultimate Edition that came out like a year later, the Ultimate Edition was better because it filled in some of the weak storylines, like why like why people were confused about what Lex Luthor was doing and all this sort of stuff. It filled in some of that stuff, but it was still weak. Like Batman should have been able to see through Lex Luthor's obvious plot. He should have been able to see through that. With what he was doing, that he was trying to set them at each other's throats, and it didn't make sense that the members of the Justice League already had superhero names before they became superheroes. Like he had files on them on his computer that already gave them names: the Flash, Cyborg, um, Aquaman. Also, I'm like, how does he already have names for these metahumans when they haven't even released themselves yet to the public? Liam says, "Think first, I accept the apology." Thing first, says shaking my head at Liam. Relax, dude. He's I'm jovial in here, but I can provide you the attention you're begging. Oh well, I'm not getting into that one. All right, guys. Yeah, let's keep it lighthearted. It's just talking about Batman. But I'm about to go anyway because I didn't know how late it was, but it's like almost 1:30. So, and my wife just landed in her on this island for her vacation, so I'm about to check in with her as well. But yeah, guys, I hope you appreciate it. Let me show you the comics again. So again, yesterday, was Batman comic book day. So if you haven't, get these are all free. Batman the Long Halloween, the special edition, volume one. Here's a inside look, I mean back side of it, of a Todd McFarlane action figure. Todd McFarlane makes great DC comic book action figures right here. Um, this one, which is like very explicit content. So if you buy this, buy it for yourselves. Not don't get this one to the kids. Keep this one for yourself. Joker the World. This is the special edition, and it ties into this new story that just came out. The Joker Year One. It gives his backstory, and a family friendly one. The Batman, the Wayne family adventures, has all of the Wayne family, as you can see. Has this black guy who became one of his sidekicks, Nightwing, Barbara Gordon back as Batgirl now that she has like she's wearing like a bionic device that now she can use her spine again. The spoiler, which is Stephanie, whatever her name is, Alfred. I gotta see if Alfred came back. I'm about to actually ask Google Gemini if they brought Alfred back to life, or if this is just a non-canon appearance of him. Jason Todd is the Red Hood. Um, Tim Drake is Red Robin. Um, Cassandra Cain right there by the spoiler. And yes, she's Asian. She always was. She wasn't like remade like that. Um, I don't see Ace the Bat Hound in here. Oh, of course, Damian Wayne is right here. Um, I'm gonna have to look at this with my glasses on to see if Bat Hound isn't on the cover. But those three are for free. Okay. And again, there's a special edition of the first appearance of Batman Detective Comics number 27. And it has all the stories in it, not just Batman, but all the other stories of other detectives and private eyes in here. The original ads that came in here because this is a facsimile reprint. So it's not, so it's the difference between like when they remake the story with new artists or whatever, and then when they use the original art and all that sort of stuff, and they just do a facsimile reprint of the original comic book. And this is a higher cost at $10 because it's a glossy metallic cover. That's why it's reflective. So those are my finds this year at Batman Comic Day, and I've been watching like Batman and DC comic stuff all day. I'm gonna continue doing that until I fall asleep. Talk to the wifey. So you guys enjoy. Of course, um, also keep these on me. Like it's like my one of my little pocket action figures I keep in my pocket. Which don't get it twisted. Just because I keep these toys in my pocket don't mean I don't also carry weapons in my pocket too. I'm in Baltimore, so I'll leave it at that. so um, so guys, if you go to the comic book store tomorrow, they should still have those free books, or you can try the public library. Either one, the public library, the comic book store, or your local Barnes and Noble should have it. Okay, but I'm gonna sign off. Hope you guys liked it. If you have any other questions I missed, as soon as I upload this video, I mean this live stream for rebroadcast, you can leave it in the comment section, and I'll find your comments there. Let me get to these last comments. I'm gonna go. So IGS says, and Superman could have saved everyone in the explosion, but can catch the Flash. Right, that was another criticism that was explained in the Ultimate Edition. Was I forgot what the explanation was in the Ultimate Edition, but yeah, it still didn't really pan out. Plus, Zack Snyder has some sort of weird affinity for Ayn Rand. It would take me too far ahead of this live stream to explain who Ayn Rand is, but she's considered her. She created this pseudo philosophy called objectivism, and she's the writer of these really great novels, but they're really bad when presenting philosophy. One is called, I think, one is called Atlas Shrugged. You probably may have heard of that. And I think the other one's called The Fountainhead or something like that. That one I need to read. But um, she makes good novels, but they are very bad at presenting like morality. And for her, being moral isn't like doing, doing. It seemed like the type of morality she embraces is something I talked about before called ethical egoism, which is basically the right thing to do is whatever's in your self interest. Obviously, that's not a great way to live. That's not a great moral way to make decisions is by doing things in your own self interest because obviously things that are in your self interest aren't always the right thing to do obviously, but her sort of that's her sort of like ethical belief. um if I'm even doing it justice, but she calls her moral view objectivism, and he definitely has a sort of affinity for Ayn Rand, and he's put that in his superheroes. Like that's why my main criticism of Ben Affleck's Batman wasn't that he was killing people is that he was like proto-fascist. He he was sort of a proto-fascist sort of Batman. Like he was like uh, leaving brands on people that marked them as sexual predators, so that they would get unalived in prison. He was just completely paranoid towards Superman, which wasn't it didn't make sense. Even in the Ultimate Edition, it didn't make sense. And or like the advice that Superman's parents were giving to him was just weird. Like in Man of Steel, his father told him not to save him just because people wouldn't be ready to understand that there's a superhero with godlike powers living amongst them. So it's better to just hide his powers than to save people. That made no sense. And the fact that he could have just easily rescued his father, and his father was like, and then he just let him die. That made no sense. Like I can see him explaining why he broke General Zod's neck, but not saving his father didn't make sense. And then in Batman versus Superman, his mother was just like, save people, don't save people. It's your choice. I'm like, what? Wait, what the fuck? Like, that's not good advice. She just said save people, don't save people. It's up to you. So that's my main criticism of the Zack Snyder superhero films is that he doesn't understand what it is to be a superhero at all. But in any case, I agree. He could have saved those people. Like he moves faster than the speed of light. He could have saved those people. If he can zip all the way to the one side of the universe and back without his frosted flakes getting soggy, I'm pretty sure he could save. I'm making that part up, by the way. But no, he can really fly all the way to the edge of the universe and back within matters of, I'm gonna say either minutes or hours, something like that. If he can do that, I'm pretty sure he could have saved all those people. Think first says great chef, and I'm glad she arrived safely, my G. Yeah, thank you. Yep, I was making sure she always lets me know when she departs and when she lands, so I know she's safe. Thing first is I didn't see the Wayne family one. It, you talking about this? Oh, and let me show you the back cover too. By the way, it's for a new Robin. One says Dick and Damian might become heroes if they don't kill each other first. Wait, so it looks like it's a younger version of Dick Grayson with an older version of Damian Wayne. So it's Teen Titans Robin. So I'm guessing it's a non-canon version because this version of Damian is older. It looks like he's like 12, 13, where Dick Grayson looks like he's like 18, 19 here. So that's they definitely are not close in age like that. Dick Grayson is like in his Dick Grayson is in his late to mid. Well, he's in his like mid 20s, and Damian Wayne is like 10, 11 years old now. So I'll say at the oldest 12, 13. So they're not near an age, so I don't know. That's weird. Snapshot says, "Peace, man. Love your streams. Thank you. I appreciate it." Liam Jones says, "What's happening, guys?" I don't know, but I'm about to end it, Liam. Again, if you guys miss anything, you can check it out on the replay, or if you have any other questions for me, check it out. Leave it for me in the comment section once I upload this. Batman Day has come to a close, so it is nighttime. So I am the night. Same as I play, but no, I'll go, guys. Oh, and oh, here's another thing you guys might not have caught. So the last voice appearance of of what's his name that played Batman in the animated series is not in that Suicide Squad video game. The last voice appearance of him playing Batman is in Crisis on Infinite Earth Part 3, which is the new Tomorrow verse that started in 2021 after the end of the DC animated movie universe with the Apocalypse War that ended the run from 2013 to 2020 of the DC animated movie universe. And after that was the Tomorrow verse that ran from 2021 to this year 2024. The last movie in that series was called Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 3. There was three parts: Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. In Part 3, they show all the different universes being destroyed. And one of those universes is the Batman the animated series universe. And that it is the last time we hear uh, both Mark Hamill and what's his name together. Like Mark Hamill's is voicing the Joker with him playing, while what's his name is playing Batman again for the last time. Uh, Damn, what is his name, guys? I can't remember, but people remember. People know exactly who I'm talking about when they rewatch this. But you know the guy who voiced Batman in the Batman the animated series, and in a lot of the film animated films that came after, and in some of the video games. And a lot of people was mad that the last time we got to hear him was when he was unalived and the Suicide Squad kills the Justice League video game. But what DC didn't tell people was that wasn't his actual last voice voiceover as Batman. His last official voiceover was in um, Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 3. So definitely that's worth watching just to see him play Batman for the last time. So anyway, that's it for me, guys. Take care. All right, and enjoy some Batman stuff if you haven't already. Go to your local comic book store, local public library, copy some free stuff, support your favorite comic book artists and writers. All right, I'm out.